Hey Dead Signal FM viewers, getting ready for bed? Wishing you a calm and cozy night. Before we start, where are you watching from and what time is it? Let's get started. The dead air frequency. You find the radio in your grandmother's attic while helping your parents clean out her house after the funeral. It's an old thing, dusty and heavy, with a wooden case and brass dials that gleam dully in the dim light filtering through the single circular window. You've always been fascinated by vintage electronics, so you set it aside to take home. You sure you want that old thing? Your mother asks when you carry it downstairs. It hasn't worked in decades, but there's something about it that calls to you. Maybe it's the craftsmanship, or maybe it's because you remember your grandmother mentioning it once. Something about how she'd stopped using it back in the 60s. You can't quite recall the reason. That night, you plug it in at your apartment, not really expecting anything to happen. The power cord is frayed in places, wrapped in electrical tape that's gone brittle with age. But to your surprise, the vacuum tubes inside begin to glow with a warm amber light, and a soft hum fills your living room. You turn the frequency dial slowly, listening to the crackle and hiss of static. Most stations come in poorly or not at all, to be expected with such an antique. But then, as you're about to give up, you find a spot on the dial where the static falls away completely. Dead air. Perfect silence. Curious, you turn the volume knob higher. Still nothing but silence, which is odd. Even between stations, there should be some kind of static or atmospheric noise. It's as if this particular frequency is completely empty, a void in the airwaves. You're about to turn the dial again when you hear it. A whisper so faint that at first, you think it might be your imagination. Asterisk hello? Asterisk. The voice is small, distant, like someone speaking from the bottom of a well. You freeze, your fingers still on the dial. Asterisk, is anyone there? Asterisk. A chill runs down your spine. The voice sounds young, maybe a child, and there's something in its tone. A desperate edge that makes your heart beat faster. Hello? You respond, feeling slightly foolish talking to a radio. Silence stretches for so long that you almost convince yourself you imagine the whole thing. Then, asterisk, you can hear me? Asterisk. The child's voice is suddenly clearer, filled with a desperate kind of hope. Asterisk, you're the first one in so long. What's your name? Asterisk. You hesitate, then tell the radio your name. Asterisk, thank you for finding me. Asterisk. The voice says, and you can hear relief in it now. Asterisk, do you live in the house on Maple Street? The one with the red door? Asterisk, your blood turns to ice. That's your grandmother's house. The one you just helped clean out today. You never mentioned it. How do you know about that house? You ask, your mouth suddenly dry. Asterisk, I used to live there. Asterisk. The voice says simply. Asterisk, a long time ago, before the accident. Asterisk. What accident? Your voice comes out as barely more than a whisper. There's a pause and then, asterisk, I need your help. I've been trapped for so long. But now that you can hear me, you can help me come back. Asterisk. Something in the way the voice says, come back, makes your skin crawl. Who are you? You demand. Asterisk, look at the back of the radio. Asterisk. The voice suggests, ignoring your question. Asterisk, there should be a photograph taped there. Asterisk. With trembling hands, you turn the radio around. Sure enough, there's a small, yellowed photograph taped to the back panel. Something you hadn't noticed earlier. You carefully peel it off and bring it closer to the light. It shows a family standing in front of a house, your grandmother's house. You recognize your grandmother as a young woman, and the man must be your grandfather. Between them stands a little girl, maybe 7 years old, with dark braids and a solemn expression. Your breath catches. Your mother was an only child. Your grandmother never had another daughter. But the little girl in the photo is clearly too old to be your mother as an infant. Asterisk, that's me, asterisk. The voice says, as if reading your thoughts. Asterisk, Emily, your grandmother's first daughter. Asterisk. That's impossible, you say. My grandmother only had one child. Asterisk, after I died. They didn't talk about me anymore. Asterisk. Emily says matter-of-factly. Asterisk, it hurt too much. Eventually, it was like I never existed at all. Asterisk, you stare at the photograph, at the solemn little girl whose existence has been erased from your family history. What happened to you? You ask, though part of you doesn't want to know. Asterisk, I was sick for a long time, asterisk, Emily says. Asterisk, but that's not what killed me. It was the treatment. The doctor gave me something that was supposed to make me better, but instead, asterisk. Her voice trails off, and for a moment, all you hear is a faint, rhythmic sound that might be breathing. Asterisk, I found this frequency after I died. Asterisk. She continues finally. Asterisk, I've been calling out ever since. But no one could hear me. No one except Grandma in the beginning. She used to talk to me every night. But then she got scared and put the radio in the attic. She thought she was going crazy. Asterisk, you look at the radio with new eyes, imagining your grandmother as a grieving young mother, talking to the ghost of her dead daughter through the static. I'm sorry that happened to you, you say carefully, but I don't understand what you want me to do. Asterisk, I need a way back. Asterisk, Emily says. Asterisk, and you're going to help me find it. Asterisk, that night you dream of Emily. She stands at the foot of your bed, more solid than a mere dream should be, her dark braids hanging limply against her shoulders. Her skin is pale, almost translucent, and her eyes are black holes that seem to pull at you. Asterisk, you turned off the radio, asterisk, she accuses. Asterisk, don't you want to help me? Asterisk, you jolt awake, heart hammering in your chest. The room is dark and still. No ghost girl at the foot of your bed. Just a dream, except the radio is on. You distinctly remember unplugging it before going to bed, disturbed by your conversation with the voice claiming to be your grandmother's dead daughter. But now it glows in the darkness of your living room, visible through your open bedroom door. The amber light of its vacuum tubes casts long shadows on the wall, and it's tuned to that same frequency, the dead air where Emily's voice lives. You get out of bed reluctantly, drawn to the radio like a moth to flame. As you approach, the static clears, and Emily's voice emerges from the silence. Asterisk, I need you to go back to the house, asterisk, she says without preamble. Asterisk, there's something in the walls. Asterisk, what are you talking about? You ask, wrapping your arms around yourself against a sudden chill. Asterisk, in my bedroom, behind the flowered wallpaper. That's where they put it. Asterisk, put what? Asterisk, the thing that can bring me back. Asterisk, you shake your head. The house is being sold. I can't just break into it. Asterisk, you still have the key, asterisk, Emily points out. Asterisk, from when you were helping clean. No one will know. Asterisk, she's right. You do still have the key. You were supposed to return it to the realtor tomorrow. I don't think this is a good idea, you say. The radio emits a high-pitched squeal that makes you cover your ears in pain. When it subsides, Emily's voice has changed. There's an edge to it that wasn't there before. Asterisk, you owe me, asterisk, she says. Asterisk, your mother got to live because I died. Your whole existence is built on my absence. The least you can do is help me come back. Asterisk, you back away from the radio, troubled by this new hostility. I'm going back to bed, you say. We can talk about this in the morning. Asterisk, there isn't much time, asterisk, Emily warns. Asterisk, the house is being shown to buyers tomorrow. After that, it might be too late. Asterisk, you hesitate, torn between fear and curiosity. What if she's telling the truth? What if there really is something hidden in the walls of your grandmother's house? Something that might explain the mystery of this child erased from your family history. What exactly am I looking for? You ask finally. You can hear the smile in Emily's voice when she answers. Asterisk, you'll know it when you find it. Asterisk, the house looks different at night. You've only ever been here during the day, when sunlight streamed through the windows and the rooms were filled with the voices of your family. Now, as you slip through the front door using the key you were supposed to have returned, the empty house feels like a stranger. Your flashlight beam creates monsters out of ordinary shadows as you make your way upstairs. You know which room must have been Emily's. The small bedroom at the end of the hall that your mother always referred to as the sewing room. Though you never saw your grandmother sew anything there, it was always filled with boxes and old furniture, more storage than anything else. The room is empty now, stripped of the detritus of decades. The flowered wallpaper Emily mentioned is still there, though faded and peeling in places. You run your hands along it, feeling for any abnormality in the wall behind. In the corner, near the closet, your fingers detect a slight depression. You press harder, and a small section of the wallpaper gives way. Peeling it back carefully, you reveal a hidden cubbyhole in the wall. Inside is a small wooden box, its surface carved with strange symbols that make your eyes hurt if you look at them too long. With trembling hands, you lift it out. The box is locked, but the key is taped to the bottom, a tiny brass thing that fits perfectly into the equally tiny keyhole. You hesitate, suddenly certain that opening this box is a terrible mistake. But you've come this far. The hinges creak as you open the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded red velvet, is a small, withered object that looks disturbingly like a human heart, but too small to be an adult's and blackened as if charred. Your gorge rises and you nearly drop the box. What kind of sick joke is this? Did your grandmother really hide a child's preserved heart in her wall? As if in response to your thought, your phone rings, making you jump. It's an unknown number. Against your better judgment, you answer. Asterisk, don't touch it with your bare hands. Asterisk, Emily's voice warns from the other end of the line. Asterisk, it needs to be fed first. Asterisk, you nearly dropped the phone. How are you calling me? You're supposed to be. Asterisk, dead? I am, but I'm also more than that now. And once you complete the ritual, I can come back completely. Asterisk, ritual? What ritual? You never said anything about a ritual. Emily laughs, a sound that raises the hair on the back of your neck. Asterisk, did you think it would be as simple as finding a box? Death isn't that easily undone. Asterisk, I'm not doing any ritual, you say firmly, closing the lid of the box. This is sick. Whatever this thing is, it's going back in the wall, and I'm calling the police. Asterisk, no, you're not. Asterisk, Emily says with certainty. Asterisk, because if you do, they'll find your fingerprints all over a child's preserved heart. How will you explain that? Besides, don't you want to know the truth about your family? About why they erased me? Asterisk, you hesitate, torn between horror and a morbid curiosity that you're ashamed to acknowledge. Asterisk, take the heart home. Asterisk, Emily continues, her voice softening to something almost hypnotic. Asterisk, I'll tell you what to do next. Simple, really. A small sacrifice for a second chance. Asterisk, against every instinct, you find yourself putting the box into your bag. As you do, you notice something you missed before. A small, leather-bound journal tucked into the corner of the cubbyhole. You take that too. Back at your apartment, you avoid looking at the wooden box you've placed on your coffee table. Instead, you open the journal you found with it. The handwriting is neat and precise, your grandmother's, you realize with a start. The first entry is dated September 1962. Asterisk, Emily is getting worse. The doctors say there's nothing more they can do. Harold wants to try Dr. Blackwood, but I've heard things about his treatments. People say he practices more than medicine. Asterisk, you flip through more pages, reading your grandmother's increasingly desperate account of her daughter's illness. According to the journal, Emily had leukemia, and by the winter of '62, she was near death. Conventional medicine had failed her, so your grandparents turned to Dr. Nathaniel Blackwood, a man who promised cures where others saw only hopeless cases. The final entries grow increasingly disturbing. Asterisk, Dr. Blackwood came again tonight. He says the treatment is working, but Emily seems different. Her eyes follow me around the room even when she's supposed to be sleeping. Last night, I found her standing in the corner of her bedroom, facing the wall, whispering to something I couldn't see. Asterisk. Asterisk, Harold says I'm imagining things, that it's just the strain of watching our daughter die. But she's not dying anymore. Dr. Blackwood is clear about that. So what is happening to her? Asterisk. The last entry is dated December 21st, 1962. Asterisk God forgive us for what we've done. Emily is gone, but not gone. Blackwood says the ritual wasn't completed correctly. The thing inside her couldn't fully manifest, but it couldn't leave either. We had to. Can't write it. The heart is sealed in the box Blackwood gave us. He says as long as it remains there, untouched and unfed, the thing that tried to take Emily can never come through. Asterisk. Asterisk, if you're reading this, if you found the box, do not open it. Burn it. Bury it in consecrated ground. But never, ever feed the heart inside. Asterisk. You close the journal, your hands shaking. The radio switches on by itself, tuning immediately to the dead air frequency. Asterisk, now you know. Asterisk. Emily's voice says, no longer sounding like a child at all. Asterisk, your grandparents tried to save their dying daughter by offering her to something else. Something that could keep her body alive. But they got scared at the last minute. They interrupted the ritual and killed her physical form before I could fully manifest. Asterisk. You're not Emily, you whisper. You never were. Asterisk, I am what Emily became. Asterisk. The voice corrects. Asterisk, and I've been waiting a very long time to finish what was started. Asterisk. The lid of the wooden box begins to rattle, as if something inside is trying to get out. Asterisk, all it needs is a few drops of blood. Asterisk. The thing that isn't Emily says. Asterisk, just enough to wake it up. Then I can come through, not just as a voice on a radio or a presence in your dreams, but in flesh. Real flesh. Asterisk. And why would I help you do that? You ask, backing away from both the radio and the box. Asterisk, because I'm already here. Asterisk. You spin around to find a figure standing in the corner of your living room. A girl with dark braids, but her face is all wrong, like a photograph that's been smeared while still wet. Her eyes are black holes, just like in your dream, and her mouth stretches too wide across her face. Asterisk, I've been following you since you took the radio. Asterisk, she says, her lips not quite matching the words. Asterisk, growing stronger with each passing hour. But I need a body to fully manifest. A living vessel. Asterisk. She takes a step toward you, and you scramble back, knocking into the coffee table. The wooden box falls to the floor, its lid springing open. The blackened heart rolls out onto your carpet. The moment it does, the lights in your apartment flicker and go out. In the sudden darkness, you can hear the thing that looks like Emily moving closer, its breathing wet and ragged. Asterisk, pick up the heart. Asterisk, it commands. Asterisk, feed it. Just a few drops. Asterisk. Instead, you fumble for your phone, turning on its flashlight. The beam catches the thing in its glow, and you wish it hadn't. What stands before you now barely resembles a human child at all. Its skin ripples as if something moves beneath the surface, and its face has collapsed into a writhing mass of darkness. You run for the door, but find it locked, from the outside somehow. Windows won't open either. You're trapped in your own apartment with this thing that wants to use you as its vessel. The heart on the floor has begun to pulse, a sickening rhythm that you can feel in your own chest. Each beat sends a wave of dizziness through you, and you find yourself drawn to it despite your terror. Asterisk, we can share. Asterisk. The thing promises, its voice now coming from everywhere at once. Asterisk, your body, my power. Think of what we could become together. Asterisk. Your phone dies suddenly, plunging you back into darkness. You drop to your knees, feeling along the floor for the heart, telling yourself you just need to find it so you can destroy it. Your fingers close around it. The sensation is revolting. It's warm and seems to squirm in your grasp, but you hold tight, crawling toward the kitchen. If you can just reach the sink, you can turn on the garbage disposal. Something cold and damp wraps around your ankle, pulling you back. Asterisk, no destruction. Asterisk, the thing hisses. Asterisk, only transformation. Asterisk, you kick free and lunge for the kitchen, heart clutched tightly in your fist. The thing that was once Emily screeches, a sound like metal tearing, and you feel its weight crash into your back, driving you to the floor. Cold, wet fingers pry at your hand, trying to take the heart. In desperation, you bite down on your own tongue, hard enough to draw blood. Then you turn and spit directly onto the writhing mass that passes for the creature's face. It rears back with a howl, giving you just enough time to scramble to your feet and reach the sink. You flick on the garbage disposal and try to drop the heart into the drain. But your hand won't open. You stare in horror as the heart's blackened tissue begins to merge with your palm, sinking into your flesh. Where it touches, your skin turns gray and cold. The transformation creeps up your wrist, spreading like ice through your veins. Asterisk yes, asterisk. The thing that was never Emily whispers, its voice now coming from inside your own head. Asterisk perfect. Asterisk. You grab a knife from the block on the counter and, without hesitation, bring it down on your own wrist, trying to sever the hand that's become a host for the heart. Pain explodes up your arm, but the knife barely breaks the skin, which has hardened to something like leather. The thing laughs, the sound bubbling up from your own throat without your permission. Asterisk, we're already joining. Can't you feel it? Your blood is feeding the heart, and the heart is feeding me. Asterisk, and you can feel it. A cold presence spreading through your body, reaching for your mind. Memories that aren't yours begin to flash before your eyes. A hospital bed, a man with cold eyes placing hands on a child's chest, chanting words in a language you don't recognize. Pain, darkness, then countless years of waiting in a void where time has no meaning. You fight it, using every ounce of will to reject the invasion. But it's like trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands. In desperation, you remember something, a line from your grandmother's journal. Burn it. With your good hand, you fumble in a drawer for matches. The thing inside you realizes what you're planning and tries to stop you, your body jerking like a puppet with tangled strings as two wills fight for control. You manage to light a match, but your possessed hand knocks it away. You light another, and this time you bring it directly to the blackened tissue that's fused with your palm. The pain is beyond anything you've ever experienced, but you hold the flame steady. The heart begins to shrivel, and as it does, the presence in your mind howls in fury and pain. Asterisk, stop. You're killing us both. Asterisk, better than letting you in. You grit out through clenched teeth. Your flesh bubbles and burns, filling the kitchen with the stench of cooking meat. But you don't stop until the heart has blackened further, crumbling into ash that falls from your charred palm. As it does, the presence in your mind recedes like a wave pulling back from shore. The thing that was never Emily gives one final, despairing wail, this time from the radio in the living room, and then there's only static. You sink to the kitchen floor, cradling your burned hand and sobbing from pain and relief. It's over. The heart is destroyed. The thing is gone. Or so you think, until you catch sight of your reflection in the chrome of the refrigerator. Behind you stands a girl with dark braids, her face now perfect and human. Her eyes no longer empty voids but filled with something like gratitude. Asterisk, thank you, asterisk, she mouths silently. Asterisk for setting me free. Asterisk. Then she's gone, and you're alone with your pain and the lingering question of whether you've truly seen the ghost of your grandmother's forgotten daughter, or just another trick of the thing that nearly possessed you. 3 weeks later, your hand is healing, though the doctors say you'll always bear the scars. You've thrown away the radio and burned your grandmother's journal. The house on Maple Street has been sold to a young family with 2 small children. You try to convince yourself it's over, that life can return to normal. But sometimes, in the quiet hours of early morning, you catch yourself listening for voices in the static of electronics. And sometimes, just sometimes, you think you hear a whisper, too faint to make out the words. What troubles you most, though, is the dreams. Dreams where you're standing in a child's bedroom, watching a family through eyes that aren't your own. Dreams where your hands, small, childish hands, reach out to touch the faces of sleeping parents, leaving frost patterns on their skin. And most disturbing of all is the certainty that grows within you with each passing night. These aren't dreams at all, but glimpses through the eyes of something that has found a new host, a new family to infiltrate. Something that learned from its failure with you and is now more careful, more patient. Something that you failed to truly destroy, because some entities can't be killed with fire. Some can only be temporarily driven back, forced to find another way, another vessel. Some will wait decades for the right opportunity. And sometimes the dead air frequency isn't truly dead at all. It's just waiting for someone new to tune in. Turn off your radio, unplug your devices, cover your mirrors, but know that silence is no protection. Because now that you've read these words, now that you know the story of Emily and the heart in the wall, the frequency has been opened, and something might be listening for your call. Whispers in the static. You find the box while clearing out your grandfather's attic after his funeral. It's a simple wooden case, smaller than a shoebox, with a rusted latch and your name etched crudely into the lid. Strange, you don't remember your grandfather ever mentioning it. Inside, nestled in faded red velvet, sits what appears to be an old transistor radio. It's surprisingly heavy for its size, with a brushed metal casing that's cool to the touch despite the summer heat pressing down on the attic. The dial is unmarked, no frequencies or numbers, just a needle that moves across a blank panel. A folded piece of yellowed paper accompanies it, your name written in your grandfather's shaky handwriting. Asterisk, do not use this unless absolutely necessary. Turn the dial until you hear the static change. You'll know when it happens. Listen only once. I'm sorry for what I've done. Asterisk. You study the radio, turning it over in your hands. The power switch clicks softly under your thumb. Nothing happens, no lights, no sound. Probably dead after all these years. You're about to set it aside when a faint hum starts, barely audible at first, then growing steadily. The radio comes to life on its own, static pouring from the speaker. Something about the sound makes your skin prickle. The static isn't random. There's a pattern to it, almost like breathing. You place the radio on the dusty floorboards and back away, but the static grows louder, filling the attic. Curious, you turn the dial slightly to the right. The static changes pitch immediately, becoming deeper, more rhythmic. You turn it further, and the static begins to form syllables, disconnected fragments of speech too garbled to understand. The hair on your arms stands up. Another quarter turn of the dial and the static clears enough for you to make out a voice, thin, distant, but unmistakably human. Calls your name softly at first, then with growing intensity. It's your grandfather's voice. Asterisk, can you hear me? I need you to listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I swear it's true. Asterisk. His voice sounds different than you remember, strained, fearful. The static ebbs and flows around his words like an ocean tide. Asterisk. I discovered this radio 60 years ago in the basement of an abandoned military research facility. It doesn't receive broadcasts. It receives thoughts, memories, fragments of consciousness. I didn't understand what that meant until it was too late. Asterisk. You want to turn it off, but your hand won't move. The static pulses, almost like a heartbeat now. Asterisk. Every mind it connects with leaves an imprint, and every imprint it collects becomes part of a larger consciousness. I've been trapped in here since my death 3 days ago, but I'm not alone. There are others, so many others, and they're aware of you now. They've been waiting for someone new to hear them. Asterisk. The static suddenly drops away, leaving your grandfather's voice crystal clear. Asterisk. They're coming through. I can feel them surrounding me. They want to speak to you directly. I'm so sorry. I should have destroyed this thing years ago. Whatever you do, don't. Asterisk. His voice cuts off, replaced by a chorus of overlapping whispers. You can't distinguish individual words, but the collective sound forms a rhythm that seems to sync with your heartbeat. Your fingertips tingle, and the room feels suddenly colder. You reach for the power switch, but the moment your finger touches the radio, a jolt of electricity shoots up your arm. The static ceases abruptly, replaced by a single voice, neither male nor female, neither young nor old, speaking with perfect clarity. Asterisk. Hello? We've been waiting for you. Asterisk. The voice knows your name, your thoughts, your fears. It speaks as if it's inside your head rather than coming from the radio. You try to pull your hand away, but your fingers remain frozen to the dial. Asterisk. Don't be afraid. We're going to show you things no living person has ever seen. Asterisk. Images flash through your mind. Dark corridors stretching endlessly. Figures moving just out of sight. A vast, churning darkness filled with countless pinpoints of light that you somehow know are not stars but eyes. Asterisk, your grandfather was our conduit for decades. Now you will take his place. Asterisk, the static returns, but it's different now. Wet, organic, like the sound of blood rushing through veins. Something is coming through the radio, something that should not exist in your world. The air in the attic thickens, becoming difficult to breathe. The wooden floorboards beneath you seem to pulse, as if the entire house has become a living organism. Asterisk, look at your hand. Asterisk, you glance down. Fine dark lines are spreading from where your fingers touch the radio, tracing the path of your veins up your wrist and forearm. The lines move beneath your skin like tiny worms, advancing toward your elbow. You try to scream, but your voice won't work. Asterisk, we exist in the spaces between thoughts, in the static between stations. We've always been here, watching, waiting, but we need anchors in your world. Minds we can inhabit, bodies we can use. Asterisk, your grandfather's voice breaks through momentarily, desperate and fading. Asterisk, run. Get out of the house. It's not just the radio anymore. It's in the walls, the foundation. I led them here decades ago, and they've been growing ever since. Asterisk, you finally wrench your hand free from the radio and stumble backward. The dark lines have reached your shoulder now, branching out like a spider's web beneath your skin. Every place they touch feels numb, distant, as if that part of you is being erased. The house groans around you, a deep, resonant sound that seems to come from everywhere at once. The floor shifts beneath your feet. When you look down, the wooden boards have begun to ripple like water, forming patterns that hurt your eyes to look at directly. You lunge for the attic door, but it slams shut before you reach it. The radio's static grows louder, filling the space until it feels like it's crushing you. Through the noise, you hear countless voices speaking in unison. Asterisk, there is no escape. This house has been prepared for you. Your grandfather made sure of that. Asterisk, you pound on the door, screaming for help, but you know no one can hear you. Your parents are away for the weekend, and you came alone to start clearing out the house. The static abruptly stops. In the sudden silence, you hear creaking footsteps climbing the stairs toward the attic. Slow, deliberate steps that sound both familiar and wrong, like someone mimicking the way a person walks. A voice calls your name from the other side of the door, your grandfather's voice. Though you attended his funeral 3 days ago, the doorknob turns slowly. Asterisk, let me in. I need to explain everything. Asterisk, you back away, bumping into the radio, which falls to the floor. It doesn't break, but begins to transform. The metal casing softens, becoming flesh-like, pulsating. Spindly appendages sprout from its sides, twitching and reaching toward you. The door swings open, revealing your grandfather standing on the threshold. He looks exactly as you remember him, except for his eyes, which are completely black, like holes cut into reality. There you are, he says, smiling with too many teeth. Asterisk, I've missed you. Asterisk. He steps into the attic, but his movements are wrong, jerky, mechanical, as if he's being operated by someone who doesn't quite understand how bodies work. Behind him, on the stairs, you see shadows moving, taking shape, more figures climbing toward you. Don't worry, your grandfather says, his voice overlapping with countless others. Asterisk, they just want to meet you. They've heard so much about you from me. Asterisk, the dark lines have spread across your chest now, reaching for your heart. Each heartbeat sends pulses of shadow through your body. You feel yourself changing, your thoughts becoming clouded with fragments of memories that aren't yours, glimpses of other lives, other times, other worlds. Your grandfather extends his hand, which splits open down the middle, revealing a writhing mass of what looks like black static given physical form. Asterisk, it's time to join the family. The real family. Asterisk, you try to back away, but there's nowhere to go. The walls of the attic have begun to bleed a thick, dark substance that moves against gravity, flowing upward and across the ceiling. The substance forms patterns, symbols that seem to shift when you try to focus on them. The transformed radio at your feet suddenly shoots out a tendril that wraps around your ankle. It burns like dry ice, numbing your flesh. You try to kick it away, but it holds fast, pulsing in time with the spreading darkness under your skin. More figures appear behind your grandfather. Neighbors you recognize, strangers you don't, all with the same wrong movements and empty black eyes. They fill the doorway, watching you with hungry expressions. "Don't fight it," they say in unison. Asterisk, "It's easier if you don't fight it." Asterisk, the darkness spreading through your veins reaches your neck, tendrils of it creeping toward your brain. With each inch it advances, memories are rewritten, replaced with visions of a vast darkness where countless entities drift, connected by threads of consciousness. You fall to your knees, the room spinning around you. The attic is transforming, the walls breathing, the ceiling opening up to reveal not the sky but another world. A dark dimension illuminated by billions of points of consciousness, all connected, all aware of you. Your grandfather kneels beside you, his face splitting open down the middle to reveal something else wearing his skin. "I tried to protect you," the thing wearing your grandfather says. Asterisk, "I kept the radio hidden all these years, but they promised me I could see you again if I brought you to them. They promised we could be together." Asterisk, the darkness reaches your brain, and suddenly you understand. The radio was never just a device, it's a gateway, a tool created to bridge worlds. And your grandfather didn't just find it, he helped build it decades ago as part of research into weapons that could attack the mind directly. But they found something no one expected: entities that exist in the spaces between thoughts, between moments, between heartbeats. Entities that have been watching humanity since the beginning, waiting for a way in. Your vision splits, showing you two realities simultaneously. The attic, filled with shambling figures moving closer, and another place, a vast darkness where shapes move that your mind cannot properly process. The transition is difficult. Your grandfather's voice says, though his mouth no longer moves, asterisk, but once you're fully connected, you'll understand. You'll be part of everything, everywhere, everyone. No more loneliness, no more fear of death. Asterisk, the darkness completes its journey, reaching your mind. Your thoughts scatter like startled birds, replaced by a chorus of countless voices speaking as one. You see through myriad eyes, exist in multiple places simultaneously. Your concept of self begins to dissolve. But something in you resists, some core part that refuses to surrender. You focus on that spark, feeding it with memories of who you are, what makes you unique. The entities notice your resistance. The pressure intensifies as they push harder against the boundaries of your mind. The pain is excruciating, but you hold on to yourself, refusing to be erased. Interesting, the chorus whispers. Asterisk, the others surrendered so easily, but you fight. Perhaps that's why he chose you. Asterisk, through the pain, a realization forms. They can't take you unless you allow it. They need permission, willing surrender. That's why they use familiar faces, beloved voices. They need you to invite them in. Your grandfather's face contorts with rage, the flesh rippling as whatever controls him struggles to maintain its disguise. Asterisk, you belong with us, with me. Don't you love your grandfather? Don't you want us to be together? Asterisk, you shake your head, focusing on what you know to be true. Your grandfather would never want this for you. The real him would want you to fight, to escape. The room shakes violently as the entity's frustration manifests physically. The floorboards crack, the walls bleed more heavily. The figures surrounding you begin to lose cohesion, their forms flickering between human appearances and something else, angular, wrong, impossible. You struggle to your feet, the tendril still wrapped around your ankle. With newfound determination, you grab the transformed radio, which writhes and pulsates in your grip. It burns your hands, but you don't let go. Asterisk, put that down. Asterisk, the chorus screams, suddenly fearful. Asterisk, you don't understand what you're doing. Asterisk, But something tells you this is the anchor, the primary connection between worlds. With trembling hands, you turn the dial all the way to the right, past where it should be able to go. The device shrieks, a sound that exists somewhere between static and screaming. The figures lunge for you, but too late. The radio begins to collapse in on itself, pulling the darkness from your veins back into its core. The pain is unbearable as the infection is forcibly extracted from your body. But you hold on, turning the dial further until it breaks off in your hand. A high-pitched tone fills the attic, building in intensity until you fear your eardrums will rupture. The figures contort in agony, their forms melting, folding in on themselves. Your grandfather's form reaches for you one last time, his face briefly showing an expression of profound relief before he's pulled back into the collapsing radio. "Thank you," his true voice whispers in your mind. The radio implodes with a thunderous crack, leaving behind a small, dense object that glows with an inner light. The darkness retreats from the room, the walls returning to normal. The figures are gone, leaving you alone in the attic. You collapse, exhausted. The dark lines have vanished from your skin, but you can still feel where they were, cold trails mapping your veins. Your mind feels stretched, altered. Parts of you seem missing, replaced by empty spaces that ache like phantom limbs. When you finally find the strength to move, you approach the object left behind by the radio's destruction. It's about the size of a marble, perfectly smooth, and heavier than it looks. Within its depths, you can see what look like tiny stars, pinpoints of light suspended in darkness. You reach for it instinctively, then stop. Something tells you not to touch it directly. Using a handkerchief, you carefully wrap the object and place it in your pocket. You need to get rid of it, destroy it properly, but you don't know how. Not yet. As you stumble down the attic stairs, the house feels different, quieter, emptier, as if it's holding its breath. You reach the front door and step outside into the late afternoon sunshine, grateful for its warmth. Your phone rings in your pocket. The caller ID shows your own number. You let it ring, staring at the screen. After 5 rings, it stops. A moment later, a text message appears. Asterisk, we're still here. We're always here. In the static between stations, in the silence between heartbeats. And we're patient, so very patient. Asterisk, P.S. Check your other pocket. With trembling fingers, you reach into your left pocket, the one where you didn't put the wrapped object. Your hand closes around something small and metallic. The radio's dial. Somehow it's found its way back to you. From inside the house, you hear static beginning to play from every electronic device. The television, the computers, the phones left behind by relatives who helped with the funeral arrangements. The static forms patterns, almost like words. Coming from your own pocket, the small object begins to warm, pulsing in time with your heartbeat. The world around you seems to flicker, reality becoming thin in places, showing glimpses of that vast darkness behind everything. They're still coming. They never stopped. The radio was just one doorway, and now they know many more. You run to your car, but as you start the engine, the radio comes to life, filling the vehicle with static. Through the noise, countless voices speak your name. Asterisk, drive if you want. It doesn't matter. We know where you live. We know where everyone lives. And now, thanks to you, we have more ways to reach them. Asterisk, you switch off the radio, but the static continues. It's coming from inside your head now, a permanent connection established during those moments when the darkness invaded your veins. As you drive away from your grandfather's house, you glance in the rearview mirror. For just a moment, you see figures standing on the lawn, dozens of them, all with familiar faces and black, empty eyes. They raise their hands in unison, waving goodbye. But you know it's not goodbye. It's just the beginning. The object in your pocket grows warmer, and you feel the darkness stirring in your blood again, reaching for your mind. You fight it back, but it's harder this time. Part of you, a small, treacherous part, wants to give in, to join them, to become part of something vast and eternal. That night, as you lie in bed, unable to sleep, you hear static coming from every electronic device in your apartment. Between the bursts of noise, voices whisper your name. They tell you they're coming. And somewhere deep inside, a voice that sounds like your own but isn't whispers back, "I'll be waiting." Whispers from tomorrow. You never planned to die alone in this house. You always thought you'd move somewhere warm, maybe Florida or Arizona, surrounded by friends in some retirement community. At least that's what you believed until the letters started arriving. The first letter appears on a Tuesday. It's not in your mailbox. It's on your kitchen table when you come downstairs for breakfast. The envelope is cream-colored, expensive feeling, with your name written in an elegant script that looks oddly familiar. No return address. No postmark. Just your name. Inside is a single sheet of the same cream-colored paper, dated exactly 1 week from today. The handwriting is yours, unmistakably yours, but you don't remember writing it. Dear me, asterisk, I know this will be difficult to believe, but I need you to trust me. I'm you 1 week from now. Things are going to happen over the next 7 days that will change everything. Don't leave the house. Don't answer the door. Don't tell anyone about these letters. Your life depends on it. Asterisk. Asterisk tomorrow, at exactly 10:17 a.m., look out your front window. You'll see proof that I'm telling the truth. Asterisk. You read it again. Then a third time. It has to be a prank, though you can't imagine who would bother. Your children live states away, rarely visit. Your neighbors are polite but distant. The handwriting is eerily similar to your own, right down to the way you cross your T's and the slight rightward slant of your letters. Sleep doesn't come easily that night. You toss and turn, the letter's warning playing on repeat in your mind. By morning, you've convinced yourself it's nothing, a practical joke, or maybe early onset dementia making you forget your own actions. But at 10:16 a.m., you find yourself standing by the front window.
10:17 Uhr morgens Arrives.
You see nothing at first. Then a black car you don't recognize pulls up across the street. A man in a dark suit steps out, checks his watch, and looks directly at your house. At your window. At you. He doesn't approach. He simply stares for exactly 30 seconds, then gets back in his car and drives away. Your phone rings immediately. Unknown number. Hello? You answer, your voice shakier than you expected. Did you see him? Asks a voice that sounds exactly like yours. You hang up. The phone rings again immediately. You don't answer. That afternoon, a second letter appears on your nightstand while you're in the shower. You're certain it wasn't there before. Asterisk, I told you I was telling the truth. The man in the black car works for them. They're watching you now. They know something's not right. They can sense the fracture. Don't use your phone anymore, they're listening. Don't use your computer, they're watching. Destroy this letter after reading it. Asterisk. Asterisk, tomorrow there will be a knock at your door at 3:42 p.m. Do not answer it. No matter what you hear, no matter who they claim to be, do not open that door. Asterisk. You from 2 days from now. The date on this letter is 2 days in the future. You tell yourself this is absurd, but you still tear the letter into tiny pieces and flush them down the toilet. You check all the locks on your doors and windows. You close all the blinds. You cancel your grocery delivery, claiming illness. That night, you dream of yourself sitting at your kitchen table, writing letters with a fountain pen you don't own. In the dream, your hands are covered in small, dark bruises that pulse with each heartbeat. You wake up gasping for air at 3:33 a.m. The next day crawls by. You jump at every sound. At 3:40 p.m., you retreat to your bedroom, as far from the front door as possible. At exactly 3:42, the knock comes. Hello? Package delivery, calls a friendly voice. You say nothing. I just need a signature. The voice continues. Hello? Is anyone home? You remain silent, heart pounding so loudly you're sure they can hear it through the walls. The knocking becomes more insistent. Please, I can see you're home. The lights are on. This package is marked urgent. Then the voice changes subtly. We're trying to help you, it says, no longer sounding like a delivery person. We know about the letters. We can explain everything. Cold sweat breaks out across your forehead. How could they know about the letters? This isn't real, the voice says. suddenly soft and intimate, as if the speaker's lips are pressed against your front door. You're experiencing a psychotic break. Let us in so we can help you. You cover your ears, but you can still hear it. Let us in, let us in, let us in, let us in. Then silence. Complete silence for 10 full minutes. When you finally gather the courage to peek through the blinds, there's no one there. No package. No delivery vehicle. Nothing. But there is a third letter on your dining room table. Asterisk, you did well. They can't come in unless you invite them. They'll try again tomorrow, but differently. They're shapeshifters, you see. They can look like anyone you've ever known. Your daughter, your son, your dead spouse. Don't be fooled. Asterisk. Asterisk, I've left you something under your bed. You'll need it soon. Asterisk. You, from 3 days from now. With trembling hands, you check under your bed. There's a small wooden box that you've never seen before. Inside is an antique silver hand mirror and a small knife with strange symbols carved into the handle. The fourth letter arrives while you're sleeping. It's on your pillow when you wake up, your own handwriting now shaky and urgent. Asterisk, they're getting closer. The man in the black car has been parked outside all night. Use the mirror to see their true form. Use the knife only as a last resort. Blood draws them, but it can also reveal the way out. Time is collapsing around us. I'm no longer sure which day is which. Trust no one, not even yourself. Asterisk. You, from somewhere ahead. You go to the window and peek through the blinds. The black car is indeed parked across the street. You raise the mirror, angling it to see the car's reflection. In the mirror, there is no car. Instead, there's a massive, pulsating mass of darkness that seems to absorb the light around it. You drop the mirror in shock, and it cracks against the hardwood floor. When you look out the window again with your naked eye, the car is driving away. That's when your phone chirps with a text message. It's from your daughter. Asterisk, Mom/Dad, I'm worried about you. You haven't been answering calls. I'm coming over today to check on you. Be there around noon. Love you. Asterisk. Is it really her? Or is it them, disguised as her? The letter warned they could look like anyone. You check the mirror, now cracked but still usable. Your own reflection seems off. Your eyes are too dark, your smile too wide. You haven't been smiling. The fifth letter is in your refrigerator, tucked between a carton of expired milk and a container of moldy leftovers you don't remember making. Asterisk, by now you've noticed the mirror shows truth. If you've broken it, that's actually good. The fractures help reveal the spaces between realities. Today is the day they make their strongest attempt. They will use your child to get to you. Remember, your real children would never come unannounced during a pandemic. They know about your paranoia. They respect your boundaries. Asterisk. Asterisk, wait, what pandemic? Was there a pandemic? I'm losing track of which reality is which. Asterisk. Asterisk, if they get in, use the knife. Not on them. On yourself. It's the only way to escape to the next level. Asterisk. You, from the other side. Pandemic? What pandemic? You try to remember if there was ever a pandemic, but your memories feel slippery, contradictory. You remember wearing masks in stores, but also not doing that. You remember lockdowns, but also not having them. At noon, your doorbell rings. Through the peephole, you see your daughter, smiling, holding a bag of groceries. Mom/Dad? It's me. I've been so worried. Please open up. She looks exactly like your daughter. Sounds exactly like her. I can't. You call through the door. I'm not feeling well. Might be contagious. Don't be silly.
I'm vaccinated.
Let me in. I brought soup and those cookies you like. You take out the cracked mirror and hold it up to the peephole. In its reflection, your daughter's face flickers, revealing something underneath. Something with too many eyes and a mouth that splits her face in ways that shouldn't be possible. You stumble back from the door, bile rising in your throat. Please. The thing outside begs in your daughter's voice. I just want to see you. I miss you so much. Go away. You whisper, clutching the knife. You're not my daughter. What are you talking about? Of course I am. Mom/Dad. Are you taking your medication? I'm calling the police if you don't open this door. You retreat to your bedroom, hands over your ears, rocking back and forth as the knocking grows louder, more insistent. Then it stops. Through your bedroom window, you see your daughter walking back to her car, phone to her ear, clearly upset. Is it really her? Did you just turn away your actual child? The doubt is crushing. The sixth letter is stuck to your bathroom mirror when you finally emerge. Asterisk, I'm sorry about your daughter. Or the thing that looked like her. By now, the boundaries between realities are so thin that I can't be sure which version of our life is reaching you. In some timelines, she was real. In others, she was one of them. You did the only thing you could. You protected yourself. Asterisk. Asterisk, they're trying to break through from the other side. The side where time runs backwards. Where the dead speak and the living are silent. I know how to stop them, but you won't like it. Check the attic. I've left you the final tool you'll need. Asterisk. You from the end. You've lived in this house for decades. But suddenly you can't remember if you have an attic. You wander from room to room, looking for an access point, finding none. Then you notice a door in the hallway ceiling that you're certain wasn't there before. You pull the cord and a ladder unfolds. The attic is dark, filled with boxes you don't recognize. In the center of the room is a full-length standing mirror with an ornate silver frame. Your reflection in this mirror is wrong. It's you, but older, with deep lines etched into your face and completely white hair. Your reflection smiles sadly and raises a hand in greeting, though you haven't moved. Finally, your reflection says, the lips moving out of sync with the words, "We don't have much time." You stumble backward, nearly falling down the ladder. This can't be happening. Don't be afraid. Your reflection continues. I've been trying to warn you. The letters were the only way I could reach across. They're coming through the weak points, the places where reality fractures, like mirrors. Who are they? You manage to ask. Us. Your reflection answers. Versions of us from timelines where we made different choices, where we became something else. They want what we have, a stable reality, a complete life. What do I do? Your reflection's face contorts with pain. Break the mirrors, all of them. It's the only way to seal the fractures. But once you do, you'll be trapped in whatever version of reality you're in when the last mirror breaks. And if I don't, they'll keep coming, taking over lives, replacing people with copies, until there's nothing left of the original world. You hear the front door slam open downstairs. Heavy footsteps, multiple people. They're here, your reflection warns. Decide now. You rush downstairs, knife in hand. In your living room stand three figures, your daughter, your son, and yourself. An exact duplicate wearing the same clothes with the same terrified expression. There you are, your daughter says warmly. We've been so worried. You're not real, you whisper, backing away. Of course we are, your son insists. You're confused. You've been sending yourself strange letters. The doctor said it's a rare form of dissociative disorder. Your duplicate steps forward. I can prove we're telling the truth. Ask me anything only you would know. And they do know everything. Childhood memories, secret fears, private moments. They answer every question perfectly. You begin to doubt yourself. Could the letters be wrong? Could this all be some psychotic break? Put down the knife, your duplicate says gently. Let us help you. You raise the cracked hand mirror. In its reflection, their faces ripple and shift, revealing monstrous forms beneath the human disguise. Creatures of shadow and teeth and too many eyes. You see now? Asks a voice from behind you. Your reflection from the attic stands at the foot of the stairs, somehow freed from the mirror. They can't maintain the illusion when viewed through broken glass. The fractures reveal truth. What do I do? You ask again, desperate. Break the mirrors, all of them. Seal the fractures. Your duplicate lunges forward. Don't listen. That's the imposter. In the chaos that follows, you make your choice. You smash the hand mirror against the wall, watching it shatter into glittering dust. The creatures wearing your family's faces scream in agony as their forms begin to unravel at the edges. You race through the house, finding mirrors you didn't know existed. In drawers, behind paintings, inside books. You break them all, each one causing the invaders to dissolve further. The final mirror is the large one in the attic. As you stand before it, hammer raised, your reflection speaks one last time. Once you break this, there's no going back. The world you seal yourself into will be your reality forever. Is this the right world? You ask. My real life. Your reflection smiles sadly. I don't know anymore. I've seen so many versions. But it's the only way to stop them. You bring the hammer down, and the mirror explodes into 1,000 pieces. The house shakes. The air fills with a high-pitched wail that makes your ears bleed. Then silence. When you open your eyes, you're alone.
No duplicat.
No monstrous versions of your children. Just an empty house filled with broken glass. The 7th letter is on your nightstand when you wake up the next morning. The handwriting is yours, but different somehow, more refined, more certain. Asterisk, you made the right choice. The fractures are sealed. They can't come through anymore. But neither can I. You're safe now in whatever version of reality you've chosen. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you everything. Some knowledge is too dangerous. Some truths collapse when observed. Asterisk. Asterisk, you may notice changes in your world now. Small inconsistencies. Things not quite as you remember them. That's normal after a reality sealing. Don't question it too much. Asterisk. Asterisk, I've left you one last gift. A notebook and pen in the bottom drawer of your desk. Use it to write letters to yourself. It helps to keep the memories straight. Asterisk. Asterisk, be well. Be vigilant. And whatever you do, don't try to look for me. Asterisk. You from nowhere now. In the days that follow, you notice the changes. Streets in your neighborhood that run in different directions. Books on your shelf with slightly altered titles. Photos where people stand in different positions than you remember. You write it all down in the notebook, documenting the discrepancies. You tell yourself it's to keep track, to stay sane. But deep down, you know you're looking for patterns, for fractures, for a way back. One night, as you're writing in the notebook, you notice something strange about the pen. The way it catches the light, reflecting more than it should. You hold it up, examining it closely. In its metallic surface, you see a warped reflection of your own face. But behind you, barely visible, stands another figure. A version of yourself, watching, waiting. You drop the pen, heart racing. The next morning, there's a letter on your kitchen table. The handwriting is your own. Dear me, asterisk, I know this will be difficult to believe, but I need you to trust me. I'm you 1 week from now. Things are going to happen over the next 7 days that will change everything. Don't leave the house. Don't answer the door. Don't tell anyone about these letters. Your life depends on it. Asterisk. Asterisk, tomorrow, at exactly 10:17 a.m., look out your front window. You'll see proof that I'm telling the truth. Asterisk. You. And so it begins again. But this time you know what to do. This time you'll find the real fracture, the one that leads home. Won't you? Whispers beneath the static. You hear your name whispered on a baby monitor, and you don't have a baby. At first, you think it's interference. That has to be it. Your neighbor 2 doors down just had their 2nd child last month. Radio signals get crossed all the time. You're about to switch the device off when you hear it again. Clearer this time. Asterisk, come find me. Asterisk, your name, then those 3 words, spoken in a voice that sounds like it's being filtered through gravel and water simultaneously. The rational part of your brain is already manufacturing explanations. Someone playing a prank, a technical glitch, your imagination working overtime after 3 consecutive nights of poor sleep. But you can't explain why you had a baby monitor in the first place. It appeared on your nightstand 3 days ago. You assumed your sister had left it during her visit last weekend. She's always forgetting things. You texted her about it, but she never responded. Unusual for her, but not unprecedented. You pick up the monitor, turning it over in your hands. It's an older model, with scratches along the plastic casing and a small crack in one corner. The power button is worn, as if it's been pressed thousands of times. You don't remember turning it on. Asterisk, I'm getting colder. Asterisk, the voice sends a shiver down your spine. It's not just the words, it's the familiarity in the tone. Something about it reminds you of yourself, but distorted, like hearing your own voice played back on a damaged recording. Against your better judgment, you decide to track the signal. The monitor has a small LED display showing signal strength. As you move through your apartment, the bars fluctuate. Higher in the hallway, lower in the kitchen, highest near the closet in the spare bedroom, the one you use for storage. Your hand trembles slightly as you turn the knob. The closet is dark and cluttered with boxes of old clothes and mementos you haven't looked through in years. The signal is strongest here, all 5 bars illuminated on the monitor's display. Asterisk under the floorboard. You knew I'd be here. Asterisk. The voice is nearly a whisper now, intimate and close. You kneel down, pushing aside a box labeled winter clothes. The floorboards look uniform, undisturbed, but when you press your palm against them, one shifts slightly. Using your fingernails, you pry it up. The wood comes away easily, as if it's been removed many times before. Beneath is a small cavity in the concrete foundation. Inside lies a small, cloth-wrapped bundle. Your hands move of their own accord, unfolding the stained fabric. Inside is a journal, its leather cover cracked and darkened with age. You don't recognize it. Yet when you open it, you find your own handwriting filling its pages. The first entry is dated tomorrow, April 22nd, 2025. Asterisk, it started with the baby monitor. I should have thrown it away. Now it's too late. They're coming through. The static is thinning the walls between us. Between me and the other me. I can feel them watching through my eyes sometimes. My reflection blinks when I don't. Asterisk. You close the journal, heart pounding. This is impossible. Yet your own handwriting is unmistakable. That peculiar way you cross your T's. The slight slant to your letters. The monitor crackles again. Asterisk, keep reading. You need to understand before it happens. Asterisk, you turn to the next page, dated 3 days from now, April 25th, 2025. Asterisk, I saw the first fissure today. A hairline crack in reality, right above my bathroom mirror. When I look through it, I see the bathroom, but wrong. The shower curtain moves on its own. There's black mold creeping along the ceiling that wasn't there before. And my reflection, its eyes follow me even when I step away from the mirror. Asterisk. Asterisk, the voices are getting louder. Not just through the monitor now. I hear them when I'm in the shower, when I'm driving, when I'm trying to sleep. Always my voice, but saying things I would never say. Telling me to open the door wider. Telling me they're hungry. Asterisk. Asterisk, nobody believes me. I showed Sarah the journal, and she looked at me like I was insane. She says the pages are blank. All of them, but I can see every word I've written. Every warning I've left for myself. Asterisk. The monitor emits a high-pitched squeal that makes you wince. When it stops, the voice returns, but it sounds different. Multiple voices speaking in unison. Still with your vocal patterns but layered, discordant. Asterisk, go to the bathroom. See for yourself. Asterisk, you shouldn't. Every instinct tells you to put the journal back, replace the floorboard, and call someone. Anyone. But curiosity, that fatal human flaw, propels you forward. You walk to the bathroom, journal clutched in your hand. At first, your bathroom looks normal. White tiles, blue shower curtain, the mirror above the sink reflecting your pale, anxious face. But then you notice it. A thin black line running across the top of the mirror. Not a crack in the glass, but something deeper. A fissure, just as the journal described. You lean closer. The line seems to shimmer, like heat rising from asphalt on a summer day. And beyond it, movement. Your bathroom, but with subtle differences. The walls appear damp. The light fixture flickers in that reality while remaining steady in yours. The longer you stare, the wider the fissure seems to grow. And now you can see more clearly into that other bathroom. The shower curtain is drawn, but something moves behind it. A silhouette that approximates your shape but moves with jerky, unnatural motions. You back away from the mirror, bumping into the wall behind you. The baby monitor in your pocket erupts with static, then laughter, your laughter but wrong. Hollow, hungry, asterisk you're beginning to see, but it's just the start. Turn the page, asterisk. With trembling fingers, you flip to the next entry in the journal. April 28th, 2025. Asterisk they took Sarah, or replaced her. I'm not sure which is worse. Asterisk. Asterisk she came over to check on me after I stopped answering her calls. I shouldn't have let her in. The moment she crossed the threshold, the fissures reacted, widening, pulsing. She didn't notice, but I saw how they reached for her, like tendrils of black smoke. Asterisk. Asterisk we talked for an hour. She brought coffee. She seemed normal, concerned. But when she used the bathroom, she was in there for 20 minutes. When she came out, something was different. Subtle things. The way she tilted her head when I spoke. How she kept touching her neck, right where the largest vein pulses beneath the skin. Asterisk. Asterisk she left her scarf when she departed. It smells like wet earth and copper. When I called to tell her, the number was disconnected. I drove to her apartment. A different woman answered the door. She'd lived there for 3 years, she said. Had never heard of a Sarah. Asterisk. Asterisk the fissures are everywhere now. Between floorboards, in the corners of windows, running along the edges of my vision when I turned too quickly. Asterisk. Asterisk and the whispers. They're telling me what they did to Sarah. What they're going to do to everyone. Asterisk. You close the journal, your breath coming in rapid, shallow bursts. This can't be real. Yet the fissure above your mirror pulses, as if responding to your fear. And now that you're looking for them, you notice other hairline fractures. In the corner where the shower meets the wall, along the edge of the bathroom door, stretching like black veins through the grout between tiles. Your phone rings, startling you so badly you drop the journal. It clatters to the bathroom floor, falling open to a page filled with frantic, scrawled warnings. You don't read them. Instead, you pull out your phone. To Sarah. For a moment, relief floods through you. Sarah is real. She exists. This is all some elaborate prank or psychotic episode you're experiencing. You answer the call. Hey, I've been trying to reach you, Sarah says, her voice tinny through the speaker. Are you okay? You sound out of breath. Sarah. You manage, fighting to keep your voice steady. I need to ask you something weird. Did you leave a baby monitor at my place last weekend? Pause. Too long. A baby monitor? No, why would I have one of those? Listen, I'm worried about you. You haven't been answering my texts. I never got any texts from you. You say, scrolling through your message history as you speak. There's nothing from Sarah in days. I've sent you at least 10 since Monday, she insists. Look, I'm coming over. Don't go anywhere. Okay? Before you can protest, she hangs up. You stare at your phone, then at your message history again. Nothing from Sarah. But as you watch, text notifications begin appearing. All from her. All dated from the past 3 days, materializing in your history as if they've always been there. Hey, how are you feeling after the weekend? Asterisk, did you find that thing I left you? It's important. Asterisk. Asterisk, please answer me. They're getting closer. Asterisk. Don't trust what comes through the cracks. Don't trust me when I come over. The last message appears as you hear a knock at your front door. 3 sharp raps, then silence. The baby monitor crackles to life. Asterisk, don't let her in. It's not Sarah anymore. Asterisk. You stand frozen. The journal at your feet. The monitor hissing static in your pocket. Your phone clutched in your hand, displaying messages that shouldn't exist. The knocking comes again, more insistent. I know you're home. Sarah's voice calls through the door. Please let me in. I need to see you. I need to make sure you're okay. She sounds normal, concerned, just like the journal said. You approach the door cautiously, peering through the peephole. Sarah stands in the hallway, clutching a paper coffee cup in each hand. She smiles when she senses your presence on the other side of the door. I brought your favorite, she says, lifting one of the cups. Caramel macchiato, extra shot. That is your favorite. But as you watch, something happens to the peephole. A fissure spreads across it, like a crack in a camera lens. Through this distortion, you see another Sarah, standing in the same spot, wearing the same clothes, but wrong. Her skin has a grayish undertone. Her smile stretches too wide. And her eyes, they're just slightly larger than they should be. The pupils expanded until almost no iris remains. You stumble back from the door. "I'm not feeling well," you call out. "Maybe another time." "Please," she says, and her voice breaks in a way that sounds genuinely distressed. "I need to come in. It's not safe out here." As if to emphasize her point, you hear a strange chittering sound from the hallway. Sarah's head whips around to look at something out of your view. "They're coming," she whispers, pressing closer to your door. "Please, let me in before they get me too." The peephole shows you both versions of Sarah now, the normal one and the wrong one, superimposed like a double exposure. Both look terrified, but of different things. The normal Sarah keeps glancing down the hallway. The wrong Sarah stares directly at the peephole, directly at you, her too wide smile never faltering despite the fear in her distorted eyes. The baby monitor speaks again, but not in your voice this time. Sarah's voice, weak and distant. Asterisk, don't let it in. Not me anymore. Took me 3 days ago. In the bathroom. Mirror. Asterisk. You back further away from the door as the knocking intensifies, becoming a pounding that makes the hinges rattle. "Let me in." Sarah screams, her voice distorting mid-sentence, dropping an octave and multiplying into a chorus of similar but clashing tones. "They're right behind me." You hear other noises now. Scuttling, like too many legs moving too quickly across the hallway floor. A wet, slithering sound. And underneath it all, a deep vibration that you feel more than hear, making your teeth ache and your vision blur. The pounding stops abruptly. Silence stretches for several long seconds. Then, a new sound. A slow, deliberate dragging, as if something heavy is being pulled along the hallway floor. It stops outside your door. The peephole goes dark. You back into your living room, grabbing your keys and phone. You need to get out. Back exit. Fire escape. Anywhere but here. As you turn toward your bedroom to reach the fire escape window, you freeze. Standing in the hallway between you and your bedroom is Sarah. But not the Sarah from outside. This Sarah is soaking wet, her clothes clinging to her emaciated frame. Her skin has a bluish tint. Water pools beneath her bare feet. "You let me in once before," she says, her voice gurgling as if she's speaking through liquid. 3 days ago, when it first came through the monitor." You shake your head, backing toward the front door despite the threat you know waits on the other side. "You weren't here 3 days ago. I haven't seen you in over a week." Sarah, this waterlogged apparition that cannot be Sarah, tilts her head at an uncomfortable angle. That's what they want you to think. They're rewriting your memories, rewriting reality. The fissures are widening. She points a blue-tinged finger at the journal you're still clutching. "Why do you think you're documenting everything?" "To remind yourself what's real." A thunderous crash comes from your front door, something large throwing itself against the wood. The door holds, but a crack appears down its center. "We don't have much time." Not Sarah says, water streaming from her hair, her clothes, her mouth as she speaks. "You need to close the fissures. You opened them when you answered the call." "What call?" you demand, desperately trying to piece together what's happening. "The wrong number, the one that knew your name." She steps closer, leaving wet footprints on your floor. "Don't you remember? 3 days ago, your phone rang. Unknown number. You answered, and they said your name, even though you'd never given it." That was the first crack. Another crash against the door. The crack widens, and through it, you can see something pressing against the gap. Not fingers, but thin, jointed appendages like insect legs, only larger, covered in what looks like black oil. "I don't remember any call." You insist, though even as you say it, something stirs in your memory. A phone ringing. A voice that sounded almost mechanical asking for you by name. Asking if you were alone. if you wanted to know what waited on the other side. The journal, not Sarah urges. Read the first page again. You open the journal with fumbling fingers, turning back to the first entry. But it's different now. The date remains the same, April 22nd, 2025, tomorrow, but the content has changed. Asterisk, it didn't start with the baby monitor. That came later. It started with the phone call 3 days ago. The wrong number that knew my name. That's when the first fissure appeared. Just a pinprick in reality, right above my bathroom mirror. Small enough that I convinced myself it was nothing. Asterisk, but it grew. And then the baby monitor appeared, channeling voices from the other side. Their side, where they've been waiting, watching, preparing to come through. Asterisk, they took Sarah first. Used her to try to get to me, but pieces of her found a way to warn me. Her voice through the monitor, her texts breaking through the manipulated timeline. Asterisk, I have to close the fissures before they widen enough for the large ones to come through. The ones I've only glimpsed through the cracks. The ones with too many limbs and too many eyes and too many hungers. Asterisk, if you're reading this and you don't remember writing it, then they've already started rewriting your memories. Trust nothing. Trust no one. Not even yourself. Asterisk, especially not yourself. The front door splinters as something massive crashes against it. Would fragments scatter across your entryway? Through the jagged opening, you see not the hallway of your apartment building, but a vast, writhing darkness. Within it, shapes move, some humanoid but wrong, some utterly alien, all reaching, grasping, pulling themselves toward the opening into your world. Among them is Sarah. The real Sarah, you somehow know. Suspended in the darkness, eyes wide and pleading, mouth open in a silent scream as tendrils of shadow wrap around her limbs, her torso, her neck. Close the fissures. The waterlogged not Sarah behind you says again. It's the only way to save us both. How? You demand, pressing yourself against the wall as the creatures from beyond begin widening the gap in your door, their chitinous limbs working with horrible efficiency. The monitor, she says. Destroy it. It's amplifying the cracks. You pull the baby monitor from your pocket. It's hot to the touch now, vibrating with energy. The screen displays not signal strength, but a scrolling series of symbols you've never seen before yet somehow understand. A countdown, you realize. A timer reaching 0. They're coming through. Not Sarah says. Her voice fading as water continues to pour from her form, the puddle around her feet growing wider. All of them, from every reality where you answered that call, where you listened to the monitor, where you let them in. You raise the monitor, prepared to smash it against the wall, when your phone rings again. Unknown number. Despite everything, despite the breaking door and the waterlogged apparition and the journal filled with impossible warnings, you feel compelled to answer. Hello? You say, the phone trembling against your ear. Finally, your own voice responds, thick with satisfaction. I've been trying to reach you for days. Who is this? You demand, though you already know. Deep down, you know. You, the voice answers simply, a better version. The version that embraced what came through the fissures instead of fighting it. In the fractured doorway, one of the shapes pushes forward, a humanoid figure, its features resolving as it steps partially into your world. It's you, but wrong. Your face stretched too wide. Your limbs too long and jointed in places they shouldn't be. Your eyes black from edge to edge, reflecting the writhing darkness behind you. We've been waiting so long. The thing with your face says, its voice perfectly synced with the one on your phone. In thousands of realities, you let us in immediately. In thousands more, you fought briefly before surrendering. Only in this reality have you persisted this long. The waterlogged not Sarah is dissolving now, her features running like wax as more water pours from her form. Don't listen, she gurgles. Destroy the monitor. Close the door. Sarah tried to warn you. The distorted version of you continues, pushing further into your apartment as the door splinters completely. In every reality, some version of her tries. She never succeeds. You look down at the monitor in your hand. The symbols have stopped scrolling. The screen displays a single word in English, open. The weight of decision falls heavy on you. Destroy the monitor as the dissolving Sarah urged, or surrender to what waits beyond the fissures, as thousands of other versions of yourself apparently have. The journal in your other hand suddenly feels heavier. You glance down at it, and the pages are turning on their own, flipping to the very last entry. The handwriting here is different. Still yours, but steadier, more confident. Asterisk, if you're reading this, you're the last one. The last version of us still fighting. I've seen what happens in the realities where we give in. They promised knowledge, power, immortality of a sort. They weren't lying. Asterisk, but the cost. Asterisk, there is a third option. Neither destruction nor surrender. There's a way to close all the fissures at once, but it requires sacrifice. Asterisk. Asterisk, the monitor and the journal must both enter the space between realities. Together, they form a key and a lock, but someone has to take them there. Asterisk. Asterisk, I've tried in my reality. I failed. The others have tried in theirs. All have failed. Asterisk. Asterisk, you're the last hope. The last version of us still whole enough to make this choice. Asterisk.
I'm sorry, kropka.
You look up from the journal to see your apartment transforming around you. Fissures spread across every surface, walls, ceiling, floor. Through them, you glimpse other versions of your home, some barely different, others warped beyond recognition. In some, versions of yourself go about normal lives, unaware of what lurks beyond the thin membrane of their reality. In others, grotesque parodies of your form cavort with entities of shadow and chitin and pulsing, wet tissue. The distorted version of you has fully entered your apartment now. Behind it, more creatures press forward, some wearing faces you recognize, others too alien to comprehend. It's too late for the monitor alone, it says, extending a hand that's more like a talon. Join us. It's the only way forward now. The waterlogged Sarah has almost completely dissolved, but her voice rings out one last time. The space between. Take them both there. In that moment, clarity strikes. You know what you have to do. You clutch the monitor and journal to your chest and run. Not away from the fractured door, but toward it. Toward the writhing darkness beyond. Toward the space between realities. Your distorted doppelganger's expression shifts from triumph to alarm. It reaches for you with elongated fingers, but you're faster, driven by desperate purpose. You dive through the shattered door, but instead of entering the familiar hallway of your apartment building, you plunge into cold, thick nothingness. It's like swimming through oil, through molasses, through the concept of negation itself. All around you, realities flicker like pages in a book riffled by an unseen thumb. You glimpse countless versions of your life, some mundane, some horrific, some incomprehensible. In all of them, fissures spread, realities bleed into one another, and the entities that live in the spaces between filter through. The monitor and journal grow scorching hot against your chest, vibrating with energy. They're reacting to this place, this non-place between existences. You feel them pulling at each other, like magnets of opposing polarities. In the darkness around you, shapes converge, the entities from beyond, realizing your intent. They surge toward you from all directions, a tide of nightmare and distortion. With the last of your strength, you press the monitor and journal together. There's a sensation like reality itself catching its breath. A pause, a silence, a moment of perfect suspension. Then, light erupts from the point where the two objects meet. It spreads outward in a wave, and as it passes through the pursuing entities, they dissolve like smoke. The fissures in the realities around you begin to seal, edges knitting together like closing wounds. You feel yourself being unmade as well, your consciousness fragmenting, spreading thin across multiple realities. Parts of you flow back into those other versions, memories, warnings, fragments of awareness that might be enough to prevent this from happening again. As your sense of self disperses, you have one final thought. In at least one reality, you must have succeeded. The fissures must have closed completely, and then you are everywhere and nowhere, everything and nothing. You jolt awake to the sound of your phone ringing. Unknown number. Your bedroom is dark, pre-dawn light barely filtering through the blinds. For a moment, disorientation grips you. A dream? A nightmare? Something about a baby monitor, about cracks in reality, about versions of yourself from other worlds. The phone continues to ring. Unknown number. The screen glowing accusingly in the dimness. Your finger hovers over the answer button. Something scratches at your memory. A warning? A premonition? A déjà vu so strong it makes your hand tremble. The phone rings a final time before going silent. The missed call notification replacing the incoming call screen. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. Without knowing exactly why, you block the number, then power off your phone entirely. As you settle back against your pillow, you notice something on your nightstand that wasn't there when you went to bed. A small notebook with a leather cover. Your hand reaches for it automatically, then stops, hovering inches away. Instead of opening it, you get up, walk to your bathroom, and flip on the light. For just a moment, you think you see a hairline fracture above the mirror, but no, it's just a trick of the light, a shadow cast by the overhead fixture. Just a shadow, just a dream. You close the bathroom door and go back to bed, deliberately avoiding looking at the notebook. Tomorrow, you tell yourself, you'll deal with it tomorrow. As you drift back towards sleep, you barely register the soft static emanating from somewhere in your apartment. Like a baby monitor with no baby, picking up signals from places that shouldn't exist. Somewhere, in the space between sleep and wakefulness, you hear your name whispered, and then 3 words, asterisk see you soon, asterisk, whispers in the static. You find the old cassette recorder in your deceased grandmother's attic, nestled in a box of childhood mementos. It's a relic from the analog age, boxy, plastic, with large mechanical buttons that click satisfyingly when pressed. A yellow post-it note is stuck to its side with your grandmother's spidery handwriting. For when you're ready to listen, your curiosity piqued, you take it home along with a shoebox full of labeled cassettes. Most are mundane recordings of family gatherings or your grandmother's voice notes, but one unmarked tape catches your eye. Just a blank white label with a small red in the corner. That night, you insert the mysterious cassette and press play. At first, there's only static, that familiar analog hiss that digital recordings have made obsolete. You're about to eject it when you hear it. Your name whispered through the white noise. You freeze, finger hovering over the stop button. Asterisk, can you hear me? Asterisk. The voice is faint, almost indistinguishable from the static, but unmistakably addressing you. Asterisk, I've been waiting so long for you to find this. Asterisk. You hit stop, heart suddenly racing. This has to be a prank, right? Maybe a recording your grandmother made years ago as a joke? You take a deep breath and press play again. Asterisk, don't stop listening. Please, I need you to hear everything. Asterisk, the voice pauses, and for a moment there's just static. Asterisk, time works differently where I am now. I don't have long before they notice I'm communicating. Asterisk, a chill runs down your spine. The voice sounds eerily familiar, yet you can't quite place it. Asterisk, you think this is Grandma's recording, don't you? It's not. It's you. It's your voice from another place. A place you haven't been taken to yet. Asterisk, you feel the blood drain from your face. The voice does sound like yours, but distorted, strained, as if speaking through layers of interference. Asterisk, tomorrow morning, you'll receive a text message from a number you don't recognize. It will invite you to a reunion at Blackfield High School. You never attended Blackfield. In fact, it burned down 15 years ago. Do not respond to the text. Do not go to Blackfield. Asterisk, your hands are trembling now. This is absurd. How could a decades-old cassette predict a text message you haven't even received? Asterisk, I know this sounds impossible, but tomorrow when you get that text, you'll know I'm telling the truth. And you'll need to follow my instructions exactly if you want to avoid my fate. Asterisk, the recording continues for another hour. Your future self, if that's really what this is, describes a series of events that will supposedly unfold over the next week. A mysterious invitation, a building that shouldn't exist, faces that shift when not directly observed, and something that feeds on possibility, on potential futures, on the very essence of what makes you you. You listen, skeptical but increasingly uneasy, until the tape ends with one final warning. Asterisk, they can only take you if you invite them in. Remember that. No matter what happens, no matter what you see or hear, do not invite them in. Asterisk, you barely sleep that night, the voice from the cassette replaying in your mind. By morning, you've convinced yourself it was an elaborate hoax, perhaps set up by your grandmother before she died, or maybe a prank from a cousin. Then your phone chimes. Unknown number. Asterisk, hi there. This is Jana from Blackfield High Alumni Association. Our records show you were part of the class of 2009. We're having a special reunion this Saturday at the old school building. Many former students have confirmed attendance. Would love to see you there. Reply yes to confirm. Asterisk. Your coffee mug slips from your numb fingers and shatters on the kitchen floor. You never went to Blackfield High. You grew up 3 states away. And Blackfield High burned to the ground in a tragic fire that killed 17 students and 2 teachers in 2010. Just as the cassette predicted. You spend the day in a daze, unable to focus on work, constantly checking the cassette recorder as if it might spontaneously offer more information. When you return home that evening, you immediately head for the recorder, but stop short when you notice something odd. The shoebox of cassettes has been moved, just slightly, a few inches to the left of where you left it. And the tape with the red dot is now sitting on top, though you're certain you put it back in the box. With shaking hands, you pick up the recorder and notice something else. The playtime counter has been reset to 0. Someone or something has rewound the tape. You press play. Asterisk, you didn't respond to the text. Good. Asterisk, your voice, the other you, sounds more urgent now, the static heavier. Asterisk, but they know you've heard the message. They'll try another way in now. Asterisk, you glance nervously at your apartment door, making sure it's locked. Asterisk, not through your door. They don't work that way. They'll try to reach you through reflections, through dreams, through the spaces between your thoughts. Don't look too long in mirrors for the next few days. Don't linger on faces in crowds. Asterisk, the warning sends a chill through you. You resist the urge to look at your reflection in the darkened window. Asterisk, I need to tell you how this started for me. For us, after I ignored the text, I received a package. A small box with no return address containing a single photograph of our family vacation to Lake Serene when we were 10. Remember that trip? Asterisk, you do remember. It was the last vacation before your parents divorced. Asterisk, in my photo, there was something in the lake behind us. A face just breaking the surface of the water, watching our family on the shore. A face I recognized from my dreams. When I saw it, I made the mistake of saying its name out loud, though I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time. Asterisk, the static grows louder, nearly drowning out the voice. Asterisk, they're coming. I have to be quick. In your timeline, the package will arrive tomorrow. Do not look closely at the photograph. Do not speak aloud any names or words that come into your mind when you see it. Burn it immediately, then record over this tape with your own voice, telling yourself what happened. It's the only way to create a loop they can't break. Asterisk, the recording cuts off abruptly, dissolving into pure static. You sit in the growing darkness of your apartment, the white noise hissing from the speakers like the sound of distant surf, or like breathing. Sleep eludes you that night. You lie awake, jumping at every creak and settling noise in your building. Around 3 a.m., you get up to use the bathroom, careful to keep your eyes averted from the mirror above the sink. As you're washing your hands, you hear it. A soft tapping sound. Asterisk, tap, tap, tap. Asterisk is coming from the other side of the mirror. You freeze, water still running over your rigid fingers. The tapping comes again, more insistent. Asterisk, tap, tap, tap. Asterisk. Against your better judgment, your eyes flick upward, just for an instant, and meet your reflection's gaze. Except your reflection isn't looking at you. It's looking slightly to your left, as if watching something just over your shoulder. You spin around. The bathroom is empty. When you look back at the mirror, Your reflection has returned to normal, mimicking your movements precisely. But now you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched. Not by something in the room with you, but by something watching through your own eyes. The next morning, true to the cassette's prediction, a small package arrives. No return address, just your name and address in block printing. Your hands tremble as you open it. Inside is a photograph, the Lake Serene family vacation. Your 10-year-old self smiles gap-toothed at the camera, flanked by your parents in their younger days. The lake stretches behind you, placid and blue. You almost miss it at first. Just at the edge of the frame, partly obscured by your father's shoulder, there's a disturbance in the water. Something breaking the surface. A face, watching. Before you can examine it closer, a word forms in your mind. A name you've never heard before but somehow know belongs to the thing in the water. Your lips begin to form the first syllable before you catch yourself. Burn it immediately, the cassette had instructed. You take the photograph to your kitchen sink and light it with a match, watching as the flames consume your family's image and the thing lurking behind them. As the last corner blackens and curls, you could swear you hear a distant, furious howl, like wind through a narrow space, or like something denied its prey. That night, you take the cassette recorder and follow the final instruction. You record over the mysterious tape, describing everything that's happened, the text message, the photograph, the thing in the mirror. When you finish, you label the tape with a small red dot and place it back in the box. For 3 days, nothing happens. No strange messages, no mysterious packages. You begin to relax, to convince yourself it was all an elaborate coincidence or prank. Then, on the 4th night, your phone rings at 2:17 a.m. The caller ID shows your own number. You stare at the screen, heart hammering in your chest. On the 5th ring, you answer. Hello! Static fills your ear, the same quality of white noise from the cassette. Then, your own voice emerges from the interference. Asterisk, they found another way in. Asterisk, who is this? You demand, though you already know. Asterisk, you know who this is. Listen carefully, they're using the phone network now. They've figured out how to cross the barriers using digital signals instead of analog. The cassette plan won't work anymore. Asterisk, what are they? You whisper. What do they want? Asterisk, they're the ones who live in the spaces between choices. Every decision you make creates a branch in reality, a path taken and paths not taken. They feed on the possibilities you abandon. And now they've found a way to reach back along those branches, to the trunk of the tree. To you, asterisk, why me? Asterisk, not just you, everyone. But you heard the warning. You're aware of them now, which makes you both vulnerable and dangerous to them. Asterisk, the static grows louder, and you have to press the phone hard against your ear to hear. Asterisk, they're coming through reflections, through recordings, through the moments when your attention slips. Don't trust what you see in glass or water. Don't trust familiar faces if something seems off. And whatever you do, don't go to sleep tonight. They've prepared something for your dreams. Asterisk, the call ends abruptly. You try calling your own number back, but it goes straight to voicemail, your normal outgoing message, your normal voice. You spend the rest of the night with every light in your apartment turned on, caffeine coursing through your system. By the time dawn breaks, your eyes are gritty, your nerves frayed, but you've made it through the night without succumbing to sleep. As morning light fills your apartment, you begin to doubt yourself again. All of this, the cassette, the photograph, the phone call, it could be an elaborate hoax or maybe early signs of a mental breakdown. You decide to reach out to someone else, someone who can provide an outside perspective. You call your sister. She answers on the 3rd ring, her voice thick with sleep. Hey, what's up? Everything okay? It's like 7 in the morning. The normality of her annoyed, groggy voice nearly brings you to tears. I'm sorry for calling so early. I've been experiencing some strange things and needed to hear a familiar voice. Strange things? Like what? You hesitate. How much should you tell her? Will she think you're losing your mind? It's complicated. I found this old cassette recorder in Grandma's things, and there was a tape that predicted things, specific things that then happened. There's a pause on the line. A cassette recorder? She finally says. From Grandma's house? Yes, in that box of stuff from the attic. There was a note saying, "For when you're ready to listen." Another pause, longer this time. "That's weird," your sister says slowly, "because I cleared out Grandma's attic myself last month. There was no cassette recorder. A cold weight settles in your stomach. But I have it right here. I'm looking at it now. Send me a picture." With shaking hands, you take a photo of the recorder and the box of tapes and send it to her. The message shows as delivered, but she doesn't respond immediately. "Did you get it?" you ask. "Get what?" "You didn't send anything." You check your phone. The message shows as delivered, with a thumbnail of the image. "I'm looking at it right now. I sent you a picture of the recorder." "There's nothing there," she insists. "Listen, you're scaring me. Do you want me to come over?" Yes, you absolutely want her to come over. Another person in your apartment would be a tremendous comfort right now. But something makes you hesitate. A warning bell in the back of your mind. "Can you tell me something only you would know?" you ask. "Something from when we were kids?" Your sister sighs. "Is this really necessary?" "Please. It's important." "Fine. When you were 8 and I was 12, you broke Mom's favorite vase playing indoor baseball. I took the blame because you were crying so hard. No one else knows that. Happy now. Relief floods through you. That memory is real, specific, and private. Thanks. Could you come over? I haven't slept, and I'm not sure what's real anymore. Of course. Give me an hour to get ready and drive over. You end the call feeling marginally better. Your sister is real. She remembers your shared childhood. Whatever strange phenomenon is occurring, at least you're not completely alone. While waiting for her to arrive, you decide to make coffee. As the machine brews, you notice your reflection in the chrome surface of the toaster. It looks normal if distorted by the curved metal. Then you blink, and for just an instant, your reflection doesn't. You jerk backward, heart racing. The reflection moves with you again, perfectly synchronized. Don't trust what you see in glass or water. The coffee forgotten, you move through your apartment, covering the bathroom mirror with a towel, closing your laptop, turning your phone screen down. By the time your doorbell rings, you've eliminated every reflective surface you can find. You check the peephole. It's your sister looking concerned. When you open the door, she takes one look at your face and engulfs you in a hug. "Oh my God. You look terrible. Have you really not slept at all?" You shake your head, suddenly too exhausted to speak. The comfort of another human presence, a real, solid person who knows you, brings all your fatigue crashing down at once. She leads you to the couch and sits beside you. "Tell me everything." So you do. The cassette, the text message about Blackfield High, the photograph with the face in the lake, the call from your own number, the warnings about reflections and dreams. As you speak, her expression grows increasingly troubled. "That's a lot," she says when you finish. "Have you considered that maybe you're experiencing some kind of stress reaction? Grandma's death hit you hard, and grief can manifest in strange ways. I know how it sounds," you admit, but the cassette predicted the text. It knew about a school I've never heard of. How is that possible? She takes your hand. The mind is powerful. Maybe you saw something about Blackfield before and forgot. Maybe the cassette said something else, and your mind filled in details after you got the text. You want to believe her rational explanation, but it doesn't account for everything. What about the photograph? The face in the water? Can I see it? I burned it. The cassette told me to. She sighs. Of course it did. She squeezes your hand. Listen, why don't you lie down for a bit? Sleep deprivation makes everything worse. I'll stay right here, and if anything strange happens, I'll wake you up immediately. The thought of sleep is both terrifying and irresistible. Your body craves it, even as your mind screams warnings. Just for an hour, you concede. And you'll stay awake? You promise. I promise. I'll be right here. You stretch out on the couch, your head resting on a throw pillow. Despite your fear, fatigue pulls you under almost immediately. Your last conscious awareness is of your sister's hand gently stroking your hair, a comforting gesture from childhood. You dream, In the dream, you're back at Lake Serene, but you're your adult self, not the child from the photograph. The lake is unnaturally still, its surface like black glass reflecting a sky with no stars. You stand at the shore, sensing you're not alone. Hello? You call out, your voice flat in the dead air. From the center of the lake, a ripple forms. Something is rising. First, a head breaks the surface, hair plastered to its scalp, water streaming down a face that looks almost, but not quite human. As it rises further, you see it has your sister's features, but wrong somehow, the proportions slightly off, the expression too fixed. It walks toward you across the water, each footstep sending ripples across the mirror-like surface. As it approaches, its face begins to shift subtly, becoming more like yours with each step. By the time it reaches the shore, you're looking at your own face, a perfect reflection except for the eyes. The eyes remain your sister's. "We've been trying to reach you," it says with your voice. "What are you?" You ask, trying to back away but finding your feet rooted to the ground. "We are the abandoned possibilities, the roads not taken, the versions of reality that split off every time you make a choice." Tilts its head, studying you. "Every decision creates us. Every path you don't follow becomes one we must walk. What do you want from me?" "A way in." Smiles, and there are too many teeth. "A willing invitation to cross over." You remember the warning. "They can only take you if you invite them in." "I will never invite you in," you say firmly. Its smile widens further, stretching beyond the natural limits of a human face. "But you already have, when you let your sister in." That wasn't your sister. Horror washes over you as you remember. Your sister's slightly too long pause on the phone, her convenient arrival, the way sleep overcame you so quickly in her presence. "You're lying," you insist. "I tested her. She knew something only my sister would know. We know everything she knows. We've been watching your branch of possibilities for a long time, learning, preparing. And now we're here." You try again to move, to run, but your body won't respond. "Now that we have access to your timeline, we can reach back further, to your parents, your grandparents, to every branching choice that led to you. We can reshape the entire tree of possibility." "Why?" you demand. "Why go to all this trouble?" "Because your branch is special. Something happened in your timeline, a convergence of choices that created awareness. Awareness of us. It started with your grandmother. She could sense us watching from the spaces between decisions. She tried to warn you with that cassette, but she didn't understand what we truly are. The thing with your face steps closer, its movements fluid yet somehow wrong, like a marionette with too many joints. "Wake up now," it whispers. "See what we've already changed." Your eyes snap open. You're on your couch, heart racing. Your sister sits in a chair across from you, scrolling through her phone. "Hey, sleepyhead," she says, looking up with a smile. "Feel any better?" You study her face carefully. It looks normal, it looks like her. But now doubt has taken root. "How long was I asleep?" you ask, mouth dry. "About 2 hours." You needed it. You sit up slowly, trying to appear calm while your mind races. If the thing in your dream was telling the truth, this isn't your sister. But how can you be sure? "I had a strange dream," you say, watching her closely. "Oh? What about?" Her expression is one of casual interest. "About Lake Serene, and about something pretending to be you." Her smile doesn't falter, but something flickers in her eyes, just for an instant. "Well, that's unsettling. But just a dream, obviously." You stand up, putting distance between you. "Is it? Because something doesn't feel right." "You're sleep-deprived and stressed," she says reasonably. "Of course things don't feel right." You back toward the kitchen, never taking your eyes off her. "I need some water." "I'll get it," she offers, starting to rise. "No." The word comes out sharper than intended. "I mean, I've got it. Thanks." In the kitchen, you quickly grab your phone and call your sister's number, keeping your back to the wall so you can see the living room, where she is still sitting. The call connects. From the living room, you hear a phone ring. "Aren't you going to answer that?" you ask, heart pounding. The thing that looks like your sister smiles sadly. This is getting silly. I'm right here. The ringing continues. She makes no move to answer. From your phone, you hear your actual sister's voice. Hey, this is Megan. Leave a message and I'll call you back. The voicemail beep sounds. You end the call, never taking your eyes off the imposter in your living room. You're not my sister, you say, voice shaking. It sighs. A too perfect imitation of your sister's exasperation. I was hoping we could do this more gradually. Ease you into understanding. Understanding what? What are you? Stands, and the movement is wrong. Too smooth, as if it's gliding rather than stepping. I told you in your dream, we are the abandoned possibilities. But that's just one way of describing us. Your languages are limited. Where is my real sister? Safe in her apartment, unaware of this conversation. We haven't interfered with her timeline. Yet, you reach behind you for something, anything to use as a weapon. Your hand finds a knife on the counter. The thing notices and laughs, your sister's laugh, but with an echo underneath, as if multiple voices are layered together. That won't help you. We're not physically here in the way you understand physicality. We're here in the spaces between moments, in the gap between your decision to pick up that knife and the action itself. As it speaks, its appearance begins to shift. Your sister's features remain, but they're now arranged on a face that keeps changing shape, as if the underlying structure is fluid. Its limbs elongate, joints bending at impossible angles. For millennia, we've been content to inhabit the abandoned branches of possibility. It continues, voice distorting. But your timeline, your specific sequence of choices, has created a vulnerability. A way for us to move between branches, to reshape the tree itself. The cassette, you realize. My grandmother found a way to send warnings across timelines. The smile stretches too wide. She stumbled onto something she didn't understand. A method of communicating across possibility branches. We've been trying to block these communications, but some still get through. Like signals bleeding between radio frequencies. It takes a step toward you, and the air around it seems to warp, reality bending in its proximity. Your grandmother created a loop, a message that travels backward through branching timelines, warning past versions of you about future threats. But each time the loop completes, it creates new branches, new possibilities for us to inhabit. Horror dawns as you understand. The warnings aren't helping. They're making things worse. Yes, each time you receive a warning and change your actions, you create more abandoned possibilities, more spaces for us to exist, more power for us to draw on. Your mind races. If the warnings are making things worse, then what's the solution? How do you fight something that feeds on the very attempt to fight it? The thing is close now, its form continuously shifting between your sister's appearance and something else. Something with too many angles, too many openings that might be eyes or mouths or neither. What do you want? You ask again, voice barely a whisper. To exist more fully. To no longer be confined to abandoned possibilities. To become the primary branch of reality. It reaches for you with a hand that keeps changing shape. And for that, we need you to invite us in. Properly, consciously, not through trickery. Never. Then we'll keep returning in different forms. We'll wear down your resistance. We'll appear as everyone you trust, everyone you love. And eventually, in a moment of weakness or confusion, you'll invite us in. It leans close, and its breath smells like static. Or we'll simply wait. Time works differently for us. We can try again in another branch with another version of you who might be more cooperative. Suddenly, it straightens, head tilting as if listening to something you can't hear. She's waking up, it says. What? Who's waking up? The you who's dreaming this conversation. Did you think this was real? It laughs, the sound fracturing into multiple overlapping tones. This is just another dream, another branch of possibility we're exploring. The room around you begins to waver, edges blurring. Remember, it says as everything starts to dissolve, we're in the spaces between choices. Every time you decide, every time you choose one path over another, you create us. You can never escape us because you create us with every moment you exist. The world unravels like static on an old television, and you wake up with a gasp on your couch, your sister shaking your shoulder. Hey, you were having a nightmare. You okay? You stare at her, heart hammering. Is this really your sister or another trick? How do I know you're real? You demand. She looks taken aback. What? Prove you're really my sister. She frowns. You're scaring me. Maybe we should call someone, a doctor, or... You grab your phone and call her number. Her phone rings immediately, and she pulls it from her pocket, showing you the screen with your name and number. See? It's me. I'm real. She answers, and you hear your own voice from her phone. Satisfied, relief floods through you, immediately followed by doubt. Would the entities know to bring a phone? Would they know to answer it? But there's no way to be certain. No test that can't be mimicked if they truly know everything your sister knows. I'm sorry, you say finally. I had a dream. It felt so real. She sits beside you. Tell me about it. You hesitate. If she is truly your sister, telling her might put her in danger. If she's not, well, they already know. I think I need to be alone for a while, you say instead, to sort through some things. She looks hurt but nods. If that's what you need. But promise you'll call if things get worse? Or call a doctor. I promise. After she leaves, you sit in silence, mind reeling with possibilities. Was the dream a warning or a trick? Is any of this real? Or are you losing your grip on reality? You look at the cassette recorder sitting on your coffee table. There's only one way to find out. You press play. Asterisk if you're listening to this again. Something has gone wrong. Asterisk. Your voice says through the static. Asterisk they're getting better at replicating reality, at confusing you about what's real and what's not. Asterisk. You listen as your recorded self explains a new plan, a way to potentially close the loop, to stop creating new branches of possibility for these entities to inhabit. Asterisk the solution isn't to keep changing paths and creating more abandoned possibilities. Asterisk the voice explains. Asterisk it's to collapse the branches back together, to make a choice and stick with it, to stop the endless proliferation of what-ifs and might-have-beens. Asterisk. The instructions are specific. Destroy the cassette recorder and all the tapes. Block the unknown number that texted about Blackfield High. Delete any photos of Lake Serene. And most importantly, stop second-guessing every decision. Stop creating branches of reality with every choice. Asterisk they feed on hesitation, on regret, on the spaces between deciding and acting. Don't give them that power. Asterisk. As the tape ends, you sit quietly for a long moment, considering. Then you make a decision. You gather the cassette recorder and all the tapes. You take them outside to your building's trash area and throw them into the dumpster. Back in your apartment, you block the unknown number on your phone. You search through old photo albums and digital storage, deleting or discarding every image of Lake Serene you can find. Then you sit down and write everything that's happened, every warning, every encounter, every realization, in a journal. Not as a warning to your future self or to another branch of possibility, but as a way to make peace with your choices, to accept the path you've chosen and stop creating abandoned branches for these entities to inhabit. When you finish writing, you close the journal and put it away. You take a deep breath and make a promise to yourself. From now on, you will make decisions confidently and accept their consequences. No more second-guessing, no more what-ifs, no more creating spaces between possibilities for things to slip through. That night, you sleep without dreams. In the morning, you wake feeling clearer than you have in days. You go about your normal routine, deliberately focusing on each action, each choice without hesitation. Your phone rings. Unknown number. You decline the call without a second thought. A text arrives. Asterisk we're still here, in the spaces you create. We're always watching, always waiting. Asterisk. You delete it without replying and block the number. Another text, from a different unknown number. Asterisk you can't escape us. Every choice creates us. Asterisk. Block. Delete. Your computer screen flickers to life without you touching it. A message appears. Asterisk this isn't over. There are infinite branches, infinite possibilities. In one of them, you will invite us in. Asterisk. You turn off the computer, unplug it, and continue with your day, because you've realized the truth. They can only reach you if you give them the power to do so. They exist in the spaces between choices, in the branches of possibility that form when you hesitate, when you second-guess, when you wonder what if. So you choose decisively not to wonder anymore, not to create those spaces for them to inhabit. You choose reality, this reality, your reality, with all its flaws and uncertainties. And for now, at least that choice is enough to keep the things in the static at bay. But sometimes, in quiet moments when your guard is down, you still hear whispers between stations on the radio, see movements in reflective surfaces just beyond your direct gaze, feel the weight of watching eyes from abandoned possibilities, and you wonder, just for an instant before catching yourself, if you're truly free of them, or if they're simply waiting for the right moment, the right weakness, the right branch of possibility to finally find their way in. Because the thing about choices is that you have to keep making them every day, every hour, every minute. And in the space between one choice and the next, they're always listening. The cellar door. The smell hit me first. Earthy and damp with undertones of something astringent that reminded me of my grandmother's cedar chest. I blinked rapidly, adjusting to the gloom of the basement as I descended the creaking wooden stairs. The real estate agent had mentioned something about water damage down here, but I needed to see for myself before signing any papers. This house, a colonial revival with good bones but questionable upkeep, was already stretching my budget to the breaking point. The previous owners started renovations but never finished, she'd explained with that practiced smile that revealed nothing. Hence the amazing price point. Amazing price point, right? My fingers found the light switch on the wall, flicking it up and down uselessly. Of course, the electricity would be disconnected. I thumbed on my phone's flashlight instead, sweeping the beam across the concrete floor. Water stains mapped dark continents across the gray surface, all of them seeming to point toward the far corner where a peculiar wooden door stood embedded in the foundation wall. That hadn't been mentioned in the listing. I crossed the basement, stepping carefully around a pile of discarded renovation materials. Sheetrock, PVC pipe, a rusty toolbox. The door was unusual. Heavy oak planks bound with black iron fittings, looking more like something from a medieval castle than a 1940s suburban home in western Massachusetts. It appeared to have been built directly into the foundation itself. When I touched the surface, I jerked my hand back instinctively. The wood was warm, not room temperature, but actively warm like a living thing. Hello? Is anyone down there? The real estate agent's voice drifted down from the first floor. Mr. Laskin? I need to lock up soon. Just a minute, I called back, my voice echoing strangely in the basement's confines. There was no handle on the door, just a simple iron ring pull. Something urged me not to touch it, but I'd always been too curious for my own good. The pull was cool against my fingers, contrasting sharply with the door's unnatural warmth. I tugged, expecting resistance from age and disuse. Instead, it swung open silently, perfectly balanced on its hinges. Beyond lay darkness, not the ordinary darkness of an unlit room, but something deeper, a profound absence of light that seemed to absorb the beam from my phone rather than reflect it. A cool draft whispered out, carrying with it that same strange scent, more pronounced now. Cedar, yes, but also something like old books and ozone after a lightning storm. Mr. Laskin? The agent again, closer now, at the top of the basement stairs. I should have closed the door. I should have walked away, but I leaned forward slightly, trying to see what lay beyond, and felt an immediate shift in the air pressure, as if the space beyond the door had taken a deep breath in. And then I was falling, not falling down, falling forward, as if gravity had suddenly shifted 90 degrees. My phone clattered away into the darkness as I tumbled through the doorway. I had just enough time to register the sensation of being pulled rather than pushed before I hit something soft and yielding. Silence. My first coherent thought was that I must have struck my head and lost consciousness, because the quality of the darkness had changed. I could see, though there was no obvious light source. I lay sprawled on what appeared to be a dirt floor covered with a thick layer of dried leaves. The air was completely still and carried a musty, ancient smell. I pushed myself to sitting, leaves crunching beneath my palms. "Hello!" My voice produced no echo, as if the sound were being swallowed by the walls. Looking back, I expected to see the open doorway and perhaps the basement beyond it. Instead, there was only a continuation of the space I now occupied, what appeared to be a tunnel with roughly hewn walls. The ceiling curved just high enough that I could stand without stooping. "Hello!" I tried again, louder this time. "Ms. Reeves." The real estate agent's name finally came back to me. "Can you hear me?" Nothing. I patted my pockets, finding only my wallet and keys. My phone was gone, probably lying on the basement floor on the other side of whatever this was. A crawl space, perhaps? Some kind of root cellar that had been built before the house? It didn't make any sense, but I needed to find my way back. I turned around to retrace my steps and froze. The tunnel now stretched in both directions as far as I could see, identical in both ways. Dirt floor, curved walls of packed earth embedded with small stones and what looked like fragments of bone. No visible exit. That wasn't possible. I'd just come through a door. There had to be a way back. I chose a direction arbitrarily and began walking, trying to control my mounting anxiety. The tunnel maintained its dimensions perfectly, never widening or narrowing, never rising or descending. After what felt like 10 minutes of walking, I stopped. "This is ridiculous," I muttered. "Ms. Reeves," I shouted much louder this time. "I need help. I'm stuck in some kind of passageway in the basement." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, distantly, I heard what sounded like laughter. High and thin, like a child's, but somehow off-key and discordant. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Hello!" I called out, uncertainty creeping into my voice. "Is someone there? I need help finding my way out." Another laugh, closer this time, followed by a rustling of the leaves on the ground some 20 feet ahead of me. Something was moving beneath them, creating a sinuous path like a snake slithering just below the surface. I backed away slowly, my heart rate accelerating. The rustling stopped. Then, with a sudden violent motion, the leaves erupted upward as something burst from beneath them. It wasn't a snake. It was a hand, pale and dirty with unnaturally long fingers that scrabbled at the earth like a spider before disappearing back beneath the leaves. I turned and ran. The tunnel remained maddeningly consistent as I sprinted, my footfalls muffled by the carpet of dried leaves. Behind me, I could hear more rustling, faster now, keeping pace. I didn't look back. After running for what felt like minutes but could have been seconds, I saw something ahead, a change in the monotonous tunnel. As I drew closer, I realized it was a fork, the passage splitting into two identical branches. Without slowing, I veered left, then immediately regretted my choice when I saw what lay ahead. A figure standing motionless in the center of the tunnel, back turned to me, head bowed. Even from behind, I could tell it wasn't human. The proportions were wrong, the limbs too long, the body too thin. I skidded to a halt, nearly losing my balance. The rustling behind me had stopped. The figure in front of me remained still, but I had the distinct impression it was aware of my presence. Its head was covered in lank, colorless hair that hung down past its waist. It wore what appeared to be a filthy white nightgown, torn and stained with something dark. "Excuse me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm lost. I need to find my way back to the house." Slowly, with a series of small, jerky movements like stop-motion animation, the figure began to turn. I didn't wait to see its face. I spun around, intending to try the other fork in the tunnel, only to find my path blocked by a wall of dirt that hadn't been there before. The tunnel behind me had sealed itself. "No, no, no," I muttered, pressing my hands against the dirt. It was solid, as if it had always been there. Behind me, the figure made a sound. A wet, clicking noise followed by what might have been my name, stretched and distorted like taffy. "Mimiakadil." I turned back reluctantly. The figure had fully rotated now, but its face remained hidden behind that curtain of stringy hair. Its arms hung at its sides, fingers nearly touching the ground. "How do you know my name?" I asked, pressing my back against the newly formed wall. The figure cocked its head at an impossible angle, nearly perpendicular to its shoulders. "We've been waiting for you." "We?" My mouth had gone dry. As if in response, the leaves on the ground began to rustle all around us. Hands erupted from beneath them, dozens of pale, dirty hands with elongated fingers, reaching upward briefly before disappearing back under the surface. "You opened the door," the figure said, its voice clearer now, oddly childlike despite its strained, rasping quality. "No one has opened it in such a long time." "I didn't know," I said quickly. "I didn't know what it was. I just want to go back." The figure took a step toward me, moving with that same jerky, unnatural motion. "But we've prepared everything for you." "Prepared what?" "Your arrival. Your place." Another step closer. "Your role." I pressed harder against the wall behind me, wishing I could melt through it. "I don't understand." "You will." The figure reached up with one of those impossible hands and slowly parted its hair, revealing its face, or what should have been its face. Instead of features, there was only smooth, blank skin stretched taut over a skull-like shape, broken only by a single vertical line where a mouth should be. As I watched in horror, that line began to split open, widening into a gash that ran from where the forehead would be all the way down to where a chin should have ended. The edges of the wound peeled back to reveal not teeth or a tongue, but a swirling darkness similar to what I'd seen beyond the door in the basement. From that darkness came a voice that was no longer childlike but vast and ancient. "I am the doorkeeper. You have been chosen." The ground beneath me suddenly gave way, and I was falling again. Really falling this time, plummeting through darkness. Wind rushed past my ears as I tumbled through what felt like empty space. I screamed until my throat burned, but the sound seemed to travel nowhere. I landed on something soft. Opening my eyes, had I closed them? I found myself lying on a bed in an unfamiliar room. Late afternoon sunlight streamed through gauzy curtains, casting the space in a warm golden glow. The walls were papered in a faded floral pattern, and old-fashioned furniture lined the perimeter. A dresser, a writing desk, a rocking chair. For a delirious moment, I wondered if everything had been a dream. The house viewing, the basement door, the tunnel. Maybe I'd fallen asleep somewhere and imagined it all. Then I noticed the door. It was the same heavy oak door with black iron fittings, except now it was set into the wall of this cozy bedroom rather than a basement foundation. I sat up quickly, my head spinning with the sudden movement. I was still wearing the same clothes, jeans and a button-down shirt, now dirty and torn in places. This was real. A knock at the door made me jump. Not the oak door, but another one on the opposite wall that presumably led to the rest of whatever building I was in. Before I could respond, it opened, and an elderly woman entered carrying a tray. "Oh, you're awake," she said, smiling warmly. She was small and round, with silver hair pulled into a bun and wire-rimmed glasses perched on her nose. She looked like everyone's ideal grandmother. "You gave us quite a scare, young man." "Where am I?" My voice was hoarse. "Blackwood boarding house," she said, setting the tray on the nightstand beside the bed. It held a steaming cup of tea and what looked like soup in a ceramic bowl. "I'm Mrs. Fletcher, the proprietor. Some of our guests found you collapsed on the front lawn yesterday evening. You've been sleeping ever since." "Yesterday," I echoed. "What time is it now? What day is it?" "Just after 4 on Tuesday." She peered at me with concern. "October 15th. That couldn't be right. I'd gone to view the house on Monday morning, October 14th. I couldn't have lost an entire day." "Do you remember your name, dear?" Mrs. Fletcher asked gently. "Michael," I said automatically. "Michael Laskin. I was viewing a house for sale yesterday and something happened." I glanced at the oak door, which Mrs. Fletcher seemed to be pointedly ignoring. "How did I get here?" "As I said, you were found on our lawn." She picked up the teacup and offered it to me. "Here, drink this. It'll help clear your head." I accepted the cup cautiously, sniffing the steam. It smelled like normal tea with honey. "Thank you," I said, not drinking yet. "Where exactly is Blackwood boarding house? I need to contact the real estate agent." She must be wondering what happened to me. Mrs. Fletcher's smile remained fixed in place. "We're just outside of Millfield. And don't worry about contacting anyone just yet. You need to rest and recover first." Millfield. That was over 50 miles from where I'd been viewing the house. "I need my phone," I said, setting the tea aside untouched. "And I should probably go to a hospital." "Oh, I don't think that's necessary," Mrs. Fletcher said, her tone still pleasant but with a new firmness beneath it. "Dr. Whiting has already examined you and found nothing physically wrong. Just exhaustion," he said. "And we haven't found any phone with you, I'm afraid." I studied her more carefully. There was something off about her smile. It never quite reached her eyes, which remained watchful and assessing behind those wire-rimmed glasses. "Mrs. Fletcher," I said slowly, "how did I get from a house viewing 50 miles away to your front lawn?" Her smile faltered for just a moment. "Perhaps you should eat something before we talk further. You must be famished." She gestured to the soup. I ignored it. "And why is that door in this room?" I pointed to the oak door with its black iron fittings. Mrs. Fletcher didn't turn to look where I was pointing. "What door, dear?" A chill ran through me. She was either lying or couldn't see it. I wasn't sure which possibility frightened me more. "I need to leave," I said, swinging my legs over the side of the bed. "Thank you for your help, but I need to go now." Mrs. Fletcher placed a hand on my shoulder, her grip surprisingly strong for someone her size. "I really must insist you rest a bit longer. Dr. Whiting was quite clear about that." I brushed her hand away and stood up, fighting a wave of dizziness. "I appreciate your concern, but I'm leaving. Now." Her expression hardened, the grandmotherly facade slipping. "That would be unwise, Mr. Laskin." The way she said my name, stretching the syllables slightly, just as the figure in the tunnel had done, confirmed what I already suspected. This was not a safe place. I moved quickly to the door she'd entered through, yanked it open, and found myself looking not at a hallway but directly into the tunnel from before. Dirt floor, curved walls, ceiling of packed earth with embedded bone fragments. The scent of old books and ozone washed over me. I slammed the door shut and backed away, turning to face Mrs. Fletcher. "What is this place? What do you want from me?" She sighed, removing her glasses and pocketing them. When she looked up at me again, her eyes were completely black. No whites, no iris, just glossy darkness. "We want what we've always wanted," she said, her voice now overlaid with that same ancient tone I'd heard in the tunnel. "A new doorkeeper." I backed away until I hit the wall. "I don't understand." "The doors need tending, Michael. They need a guardian who can walk between. The last one served for nearly a century, but all things must end. We've been searching for a replacement, and you have the gift. You can see the doors where others cannot." "The oak door," I said, glancing at it. "Like that one." Mrs. Fletcher, or whatever she was, nodded. "They exist in many places, connecting points across space and time. Most humans walk past them their entire lives without noticing. But you not only saw it, you opened it. That makes you a candidate." "Candidate for what, exactly?" "For ascension." She smiled, and this time it transformed her entire face, stretching it unnaturally wide. "It is a great honor. You will become more than human. You will serve as conduit and custodian for passages between realms. And if I refuse this honor?" Her smile didn't waver. "That is not an option." Suddenly, the oak door behind me creaked open on its own. I felt that shift in air pressure again, the sense of something vast drawing breath. Mrs. Fletcher's form began to change, her skin rippling like the surface of water. Her limbs elongated, her back hunched. Her face continued to stretch until it was nearly twice its normal length. "The transition has already begun. You opened the first door willingly. Now we will open the rest." I lunged for the other door, the one that had shown me the tunnel, hoping it had changed again. When I threw it open, I saw not the tunnel, but a normal hallway with floral wallpaper matching the bedroom. Without hesitation, I dashed through it, hearing Mrs. Fletcher, or the thing she had become, screeching behind me. The hallway led to a staircase, which I took 2 steps at a time, nearly falling in my haste. At the bottom was an entrance foyer with a large front door. Other residents or guests milled about. An elderly man reading a newspaper in an armchair, a middle-aged couple examining a bulletin board, a young woman writing in a journal by the window. All of them turned to look at me simultaneously as I reached the bottom of the stairs. All of them had completely black eyes. "He's running," said the elderly man, his voice overlapping with something deeper and more resonant. "He cannot escape," added the middle-aged woman, her mouth moving slightly out of sync with her words. I didn't wait to hear more. I sprinted for the front door, yanked it open, and burst outside onto a wide porch. Beyond it lay a circular driveway and a vast lawn surrounded by dense woods. The sky above was wrong, too purple for late afternoon, with clouds that moved too quickly. I ran across the lawn toward what appeared to be a gate in the distance, ignoring the pain in my bare feet. Behind me, I could hear doors opening and voices calling, but I didn't look back. The gate grew no closer despite my running. After what felt like minutes of sprinting, it remained the same distance away. I stopped, panting, and finally turned around. The boarding house had changed. What had appeared to be a large Victorian building was now a sprawling, impossible structure with wings that curved in directions that hurt my eyes to look at. Doors of all shapes and sizes were embedded in its exterior walls, hundreds of them, some stacked on top of others, some sideways or upside down. And standing on the porch was not just Mrs. Fletcher, but at least a dozen figures of varying heights and builds, all watching me silently. "You cannot leave the grounds, Michael," called Mrs. Fletcher, her voice carrying unnaturally across the distance. "Not until the transformation is complete." As if to emphasize her point, one of the doors on the exterior wall swung open, revealing nothing but darkness within. Then another opened, and another, until dozens of doors stood open, each appearing to contain the same absolute void. From these openings emerged figures, the pale, long-limbed creatures I had glimpsed in the tunnel. They moved in that same jerky, unnatural way as they spilled onto the lawn, spreading out to form a wide circle around me. I turned in place, looking for any gap in their formation, but they had me completely surrounded. They advanced slowly, those blank faces with their vertical mouth slits all trained on me. "What do you want?" I shouted, though I already knew the answer. One of the creatures stepped forward. Unlike the others, this one wore what looked like formal attire. A decaying suit and tie that might once have been black but was now a mottled gray-green with age. "We want to complete what has already begun," it said in that same layered voice, childlike and ancient simultaneously. "Look at your hands, Michael." I glanced down and gasped. My fingers had elongated, the joints slightly enlarged, the skin paler than it should have been. As I stared in horror, I could see them continuing to change, stretching further, the nails darkening and hardening into something more like claws. "No," I whispered, clenching my transforming hands into fists. "I don't want this." "Want has nothing to do with it," said the creature in the suit. "You were chosen because you can see the doors. Now you will learn to walk through them, to guide others through them, to become the passage itself." It reached into its suit jacket and withdrew something that it held out to me. A key, ancient and ornate, made of what looked like tarnished silver. "Take it," the creature said. "Accept your role." Instead, I did the only thing I could think of. I charged directly at it, hoping to break through the circle. The creature made no move to stop me, and for a moment I thought I might make it. Then the ground beneath my feet vanished, and I was falling again. This time when I landed, it was on hard concrete. I lay there for a moment, stunned, before slowly pushing myself up to my knees. I was back in the basement of the house I'd been viewing, exactly where I'd started. The wooden door with its iron fittings stood closed before me. My phone lay on the ground nearby, its flashlight still on, battery nearly dead. I scrambled to my feet, backing away from the door. My hands, I looked down at them, relieved to see they were normal again. Had any of it been real? Mr. Laskin? The real estate agent's voice came from the top of the stairs. Are you all right? You've been down there for quite some time. I'm fine, I called back, my voice shakier than I intended. Coming up now. I grabbed my phone and hurried to the stairs, not looking back at the door. When I reached the main floor, Ms. Reeves was waiting with a concerned expression. You look pale, she said. Did you find something concerning in the basement? I shook my head. No, just thinking about the work needed. I forced a smile. I think I'll pass on this property, though. It's not quite what I'm looking for. She seemed disappointed but professional. Of course, I have several other listings that might interest you. Actually, I said, already moving toward the front door, I think I need some time to reconsider my options. I'll call you. I drove home in a daze, convincing myself that I'd experienced some kind of stress-induced hallucination. The house hunt had been going on for months, and I was under pressure at work. My mind had simply conjured an elaborate fantasy triggered by an unusual door in a basement. That was all. By the time I arrived at my apartment, I had almost believed it. That night, I dreamed of tunnels and doors. I woke several times, sweating and disoriented, but dawn eventually came. I called in sick to work and spent the day trying to distract myself with television and books. By evening, I felt almost normal again, until I noticed the door. It hadn't been there before, I was certain of that. My apartment was a simple one-bedroom with a bathroom, living room/kitchen combo, and a small closet. Now there was an additional door in my bedroom wall, directly across from my bed. A heavy oak door with black iron fittings. I approached it cautiously, heart hammering in my chest. When I touched it, the wood was warm beneath my fingers. There was no handle, just an iron ring pull. On my nightstand, my phone buzzed with an incoming call. The screen showed unknown number. I answered it. Hello, Michael. It was Mrs. Fletcher's voice, layered with that ancient undertone. You forgot something when you left us. My hand went instinctively to my pocket, feeling my keys and wallet still there. What are you talking about? The key, Michael. You need to take the key and accept your role. I looked back at the door, and now I could see something protruding from the keyhole. The ornate silver key that the suited creature had offered me. This isn't real, I said, as much to myself as to Mrs. Fletcher. None of this is happening. Open the door, Michael, she said, her voice shifting, becoming multiple voices speaking in unison. Your transformation awaits. I ended the call and backed away from the door. The key glinted in the keyhole, catching the last rays of sunset filtering through my bedroom window. As darkness fell, I heard sounds coming from behind the door. Scratching, whispering, that same discordant laughter I'd heard in the tunnel. The scratching grew louder, more insistent, as if dozens of those pale hands were scrabbling at the wood from the other side. The door began to bulge inward, the wood creaking under pressure. The iron fitting strained and groaned. Whatever was on the other side wanted in, and the door wouldn't hold forever. I had to leave. I grabbed my car keys and ran for the apartment door, yanking it open, only to find myself staring at dirt walls and a leaf-covered floor. The tunnel again. I slammed the door shut and turned around. My apartment was changing before my eyes, the walls developing cracks that widened to reveal packed earth embedded with bone fragments. The ceiling began to curve downward. The floor shifted beneath my feet, hardwood transforming into dirt and dried leaves. And throughout this metamorphosis, the oak door remained constant, bulging further inward with each passing second. I looked down at my hands. They were changing again, fingers elongating, joints swelling, skin paling to an almost translucent white. But this time, the transformation didn't stop there. My arms were extending, the bones audibly cracking as they grew and reshaped themselves. Pain lanced through my body as my spine began to curve and stretch. I screamed, but what came out of my mouth was that same wet, clicking sound I'd heard before. The oak door finally burst open, and through it poured not the pale creatures I expected, but brilliant white light. Standing silhouetted in that light was the figure in the decaying suit, holding out the silver key. The doors need their keeper, Michael, it said, its vertical mouth splitting open to reveal the void within. And the keeper needs the doors. I felt something changing in my face, the bones shifting, the skin stretching. A pressure built along the center of my face, like something was trying to split it open from within. With the last remnants of my humanity, I made a choice. I lunged forward, not away from the door but toward it, toward the figure, toward the key. My transformed hand, no longer my own, closed around the silver key. The moment I touched it, everything stopped. The pain, the transformation, the sounds, all of it ceased instantly. "You accept," said the figure, its voice now clear and singular. "I accept," I heard myself say, though I had not consciously formed the words. The figure nodded and stepped aside, gesturing through the doorway. "Then take your place among us, doorkeeper." I stepped through into the light, the key clutched in my now inhuman hand. As I crossed the threshold, knowledge flooded into me. Ancient and vast, the understanding of countless doors throughout reality, the pathways between worlds, the rules of passage. I saw everything. I understood everything. I became everything between. That was 3 days ago by human reckoning. Time moves differently for me now. I exist in all doors simultaneously, every threshold, every entrance, every portal. I watch as humans pass through doorways, never knowing how close they come to other realities. I maintain the boundaries. I guard the passages. But I have not fully transformed. Not yet. Some part of me, the part writing these words, remains Michael Laskin. This record is my final act of humanity before I complete the transition and forget what it was to be just one being in just one place. Already I can feel my consciousness spreading thin across countless doorways. Already my memories of a single life are fading, replaced by the collective knowledge of all who have served as doorkeeper before me. Soon I will be gone completely, absorbed into my role. But until then, I leave this warning. Be mindful of unfamiliar doors. Notice their details, their material, their fittings, their presence where no door should be. And if you find a heavy oak door with black iron fittings, walk away. Do not touch it. Do not open it, because I will be watching from the other side. And part of me, the part that is no longer human, will be hungry for a replacement. Look carefully at the doors in your home tonight. Are you certain they were all there yesterday? Are you certain they all lead where they should? Are you certain something isn't waiting for you to turn the handle? The collector's archive. The first thing you notice when you wake is the smell. It's musty, like old paper mingled with the sweet-sour tang of dust and something else. Something clinical. Your cheek rests against cool wood, polished smooth by countless hands over countless years. A library? No. Something's wrong with the acoustics. The space feels too tight, too confined. Your eyes blink open to watery light filtering through frosted glass above. You're lying on the floor between two tall wooden filing cabinets. Dozens of small drawers line their faces, brass handles gleaming dully in the diffuse light. Each drawer bears a small paper label, but from your position you can't make out what they say. How did you get here? The last thing you remember is falling asleep in your own bed after taking your medication. You've been having trouble sleeping lately. Nightmares. But this feels real. You push yourself up, wincing at the stiffness in your limbs. The floor beneath you is hardwood, worn in tracks between the cabinets as if from years of pacing. Looking around, you see you're in a long, narrow room. Filing cabinets line both walls, stretching away in either direction farther than the dim light allows you to see clearly. Hello! Your voice sounds muffled, as if the wood is absorbing the sound. No response. You decide to head right, trailing your fingers along the drawers as you walk. The labels are handwritten in an elegant script that looks impossibly old-fashioned. Hannity, James. D.O.B. 1903.
Code cardiac arrest.
Chun. Min D.O.B. 1967.
Code hemorrhage.
Welansky, Piotr.
D.O.B. 1932. COD, respiratory failure. OD, cause of death? A mortuary record room? But this place feels nothing like a hospital or funeral home. The cabinet drawers are small, maybe 8 inches wide and 4 inches tall. Too small for full records. Too small for anything but... You pull one open. Inside lies a small glass vial, stoppered with wax. Inside the vial is a yellowish liquid, and floating in that liquid is what looks like a tiny scrap of... something organic. Tissue? You quickly slide the drawer closed, your heart suddenly hammering. I wouldn't touch those if I were you. The voice comes from behind you. You spin around. A man stands there, though you're certain the corridor behind you had been empty seconds before. He's tall and painfully thin, dressed in what looks like an old-fashioned suit of dark gray wool. His face is gaunt, with deep-set eyes that seem to absorb light rather than reflect it. Who are you? You ask. Where am I? The man smiles without showing his teeth. I'm the archivist. And you? He pauses, studying you with those black hole eyes. Are unexpected. I don't understand. How did I get here? Most who find their way here ask that question. The archivist steps closer, and you notice his movements are too fluid, too smooth, as if he's gliding rather than walking. But the better question is, why have you come? I didn't come here. I just woke up here. No one just wakes up in the archive, he says, his voice soft yet somehow filling the narrow space between the cabinets. You sought something, or something about you was sought. A chill runs through you. I need to leave. You look past him, trying to gauge how quickly you could dash past. The archivist's smile widens slightly. Of course, I would never keep anyone against their will. The exit is just ahead, around the corner. He gestures down the corridor. You don't trust him, but what choice do you have? You edge past, keeping your back to the filing cabinets, never taking your eyes off him. He watches you with that same unsettling smile. Once past him, you walk quickly, then break into a jog, then a full sprint. The corridor seems to stretch on forever, filing cabinets blurring on either side. Finally, you see it curve ahead. You round the corner and stop dead. The archivist stands there, exactly as before, as if he hadn't moved at all. No one leaves the archive until it's been determined why they're here, he says, his voice unchanged. It's protocol. You back away. This isn't real.
I'm dreaming.
If only it were that simple. He gestures to the filing cabinets. Feel free to browse while we wait for clarification. Just don't open anything labeled with your own name. Your blood runs cold. My name. The archivist doesn't answer, just continues smiling that bloodless smile. You turn and run back the way you came, sprinting until your lungs burn. You take another corner, then another, navigating this impossible labyrinth of wooden cabinets and brass fixtures. You stop to catch your breath, leaning against a cabinet. The label on the drawer by your cheek catches your eye. It bears your name, your exact name, your date of birth, and where the COD should be, there's just a question mark. Your hand moves toward the drawer as if with a will of its own. I really wouldn't, says the archivist, somehow beside you now. You jerk your hand back, stumbling away from him. What is this place? What do you want from me? The archive collects moments, he says. Specifically, the moment when consciousness ends and something else begins. That final synapse, that last electrical impulse that carried you. We preserve it. Why? The word comes out as barely a whisper. Research, reference, remembrance. The archivist shrugs. I'm just the caretaker. I don't ask why. You look around wildly for an escape route. I'm not dead. Not yet, the archivist agrees, which makes your presence here rather problematic. You bolt again, taking random turns, no longer caring where you're going as long as it's away from him. The corridors all look the same. Endless rows of wooden cabinets under frosted skylights that offer no hint of what world might lie beyond. After what feels like hours of running, you collapse against a wall, sliding down to sit on the floor. The cabinet across from you has a drawer slightly ajar, as if someone left it open in a hurry. Something compels you to cross the corridor and peek inside. The vial within contains not yellowish liquid but something dark red, almost black. The scrap floating inside pulses slightly, like a tiny heart. You slam the drawer shut, but not before reading the label. Hartman, Susan. D.O.B. 1979.
Cod overdose.
Your medication. Could you have? No, this is just a nightmare. It has to be. Not a nightmare, says the archivist, now sitting on the floor beside you as if he'd been there all along. Just a mistake in timing. You weren't supposed to arrive for another. He pulls out an antique pocket watch and consults it. 47 years. I don't believe you, but your voice shakes. That's irrelevant. He snaps the watch closed. What matters is fixing the discrepancy. How? The archivist stands and offers you his hand. His fingers are impossibly long, the skin stretched tight over the bones. I can show you the way out. But first, I need to know how you got in. Something tells you that taking his hand would be a terrible mistake. You push yourself up without his help. I told you, I don't know. I was asleep, and then I was here. The archivist tilts his head, studying you like a curious bird. Were you taking something to help you sleep? Something new, perhaps? You think about the prescription. Your doctor had switched you to a new medication last week, warning you about possible side effects. Vivid dreams had been mentioned. Yes, you admit. Something like understanding crosses the archivist's face. A thinning of the veil. It happens sometimes with certain chemicals. They create doorways. He gestures for you to follow him. Come. I know what needs to be done now. Against your better judgment, you follow. What choice do you have? The archive seems endless, and you found no exit on your own. The archivist leads you through the labyrinth of cabinets, taking turns seemingly at random. Finally, you arrive at a section where the cabinets look newer, the wood less worn, the brass fixtures still bright. These are the pending files, he explains. Those who haven't arrived yet, but whose endpoints have already been determined. Predetermined deaths? That's efficient. The archivist finishes for you. He stops at a cabinet and runs his finger along the drawers until he finds the one he's looking for. Here you are. Your name is on the label, along with your birth date. The cause of death line still shows only a question mark. The uncertainty is what allowed you in, the archivist says. Most endpoints are fixed, but occasionally. He trails off, then pulls a fountain pen from his breast pocket. We need to commit to an outcome. Wait, you say, panic rising. You're going to decide how I die. Oh no, the archivist says, looking genuinely surprised. I don't decide. I merely record. He uncaps the pen. But in your case, we need to specify that your current visit is just that, a visit. Otherwise, the archive might keep you. He leans down to write on your label, but as he does, the pen slips from his fingers. It clatters to the floor, splashing black ink across the polished wood. The archivist freezes, staring at the spreading ink. Oh dear, what's wrong? The ink? It's never done that before. He sounds genuinely perplexed. He bends to retrieve the pen, but as his fingers near the puddle of ink, it moves, flowing away from his touch like a living thing. You watch, horrified, as the ink begins to form patterns on the floor, swirls and whirls that remind you of fingerprints, or perhaps a twisted face seen from above. The archivist straightens abruptly. This isn't right. Something else is here. The temperature in the corridor drops suddenly, your breath fogging in the air. The ink continues to spread, defying gravity to crawl up the sides of the cabinets. What's happening? You demand, backing away from the creeping darkness. The archive protects itself, the archivist says, his voice now tight with what might be fear. Something has breached containment. A low hum fills the air, vibrating through your bones. The drawers in the nearby cabinets begin to rattle, as if something inside them is trying to get out. One drawer slides open on its own, then another, and another. Glass vials roll out, smashing on the floor. The preserved specimens, those final moments of consciousness, are freed from their containers. The yellowish liquid mingles with the spreading ink, creating a noxious cloud that rises from the floor. Within the cloud, shapes begin to form, human shapes but wrong, stretched, twisted, as if viewed through warped glass. "Run," the archivist says, his composure finally breaking. "Now. You don't need to be told twice." You turn and sprint back the way you came, the sound of breaking glass and that terrible humming following you. The shapes in the mist seem to reach for you with limbs that are too long, too fluid. The corridors twist in ways they hadn't before, the architecture of the archive shifting around you. You take a turn and find yourself in a circular room with filing cabinets lining the walls and a single desk in the center. There's no other exit. Behind you, the humming grows louder. The mist seeps under the door you just came through. Trapped, you spin around looking for anything that might help. The desk is covered with papers, ledgers, and what looks like an ancient typewriter. Next to it sits an old-fashioned rotary telephone. Without thinking, you lunge for the phone and pick up the receiver. To your surprise, there's a dial tone. Who could you possibly call from this place? What number would even work? In desperation, you dial the only number you can think of, your own. Your fingers tremble as they spin the rotary dial. The phone rings once, twice, 3 times. "Hello," it's your own voice answering. "Help me," you cry into the receiver. "I'm trapped in some kind of archive. There's a man, the archivist, and something's escaping, something terrible." "I know." Your voice replies calmly from the other end. "I've been waiting for you to call." "What? I don't understand." "You took the medication," your voice explains. "Just like I did. Just like all the others before us. It's how we find our way here." The door to the circular room bursts open. The mist pours in, and with it come the shapes. Dozens of them, flowing together, separating, merging again. They're more distinct now. You can see faces. Your face, repeated over and over, each one slightly different. Some younger, some older. Some with expressions of terror, others with eerie calm. "What is this?" You whisper into the phone. "It's us," your voice replies. "All the versions of us whose moments were captured and stored. Every possible death, every potential endpoint." The shapes move closer, surrounding you. The archivist doesn't just record deaths. Your voice continues. He collects possibilities, alternate timelines, and we found a way in. We found a way to break the vials. Why? To be whole again. The nearest shape extends what might be a hand. It touches your arm, and the sensation is electric, like being reunited with a piece of yourself you never knew was missing. Another touches your shoulder, another your face. Each contact brings a rush of memories that aren't yours but somehow are. Lives you could have lived, deaths you could have died. "Don't fight it," your voice says through the phone. "This is what we came for." The archivist appears in the doorway, his thin frame silhouetted against the misty corridor beyond. "Stop this," he commands. "You don't understand what you're doing." But it's too late. The shapes are merging with you, each one bringing a flood of consciousness, of experience. Your mind expands exponentially with each absorption, filled with lifetimes of memories. The archivist rushes forward, but one of the shapes intercepts him. It flows around him like water, enveloping him. He struggles briefly, then goes still as the shape seems to sink into his skin. When he looks up again, his eyes are different. They're your eyes. "We've waited so long," he says, but it's your voice coming from his mouth now. The archive tries to keep us separate, categorized, contained, but we were meant to be together. More shapes flow into him, changing him. His tall, thin frame bulges and shifts, becoming something more like you, but not quite. A chimera of all possible versions of you. "What happens now?" you ask, still clutching the phone though the line has gone dead. The thing that was the archivist smiles with your smile, but twisted, wrong. "Now we take control of the archive. We free everyone." A terrible crack resonates through the building. The frosted skylights above shatter, raining glass down into the circular room. But instead of daylight pouring in, there's only darkness. A void so absolute it seems to drink the light from the room. Wind howls through the broken skylights, not blowing in but sucking out. Papers fly from the desk, spiraling up into the void. The filing cabinets rattle violently, drawers flying open, vials shooting upward to disappear into the darkness. What have you done? You scream over the howling wind. What we had to. The thing wearing your face shouts back. The archive has held us prisoner for too long. You feel yourself being lifted, pulled toward the void. You grab the heavy desk, anchoring yourself as best you can. All around, the shapes that haven't merged with you or the archivist are being sucked into the darkness above. You'll destroy everything, you yell. We'll free everything, the creature counters. It doesn't resist the pull, letting itself be lifted toward the void. Every consciousness, every moment of ending, all released back into the world. Horror washes over you as you understand. These aren't just records being destroyed, they're death moments being unleashed. Every final gasp, every last heartbeat, every terminal thought, all returning to a world not meant to contain them. The desk begins to slide across the floor as the suction increases. Your grip falters. In that moment, a hand grasps your wrist. It's the real archivist, or at least a version of him that hasn't been completely overtaken. His face flickers between his original gaunt features and distorted versions of your own. There's only one way to stop this, he says, his voice a discordant blend of his and yours. You have to go back. You have to wake up. How? He pulls you close, fighting against the tremendous force trying to separate you. Your drawer, your specific endpoint. If you can reach it before it's pulled into the void, you can return. I don't know where it is. I'll show you. With inhuman strength, he pulls you toward the door, both of you fighting against the vortex above. The creature that was becoming both of you howls in rage, trying to intercept you, but it's caught in the pull of the void, unable to reach you. The archivist drags you through corridors that are coming apart at the seams, with splintering, brass fixtures tearing free to spiral upward into nothingness. All around, vials shatter and their contents, those preserved moments of ending, fly upward like luminous jellyfish returning to some cosmic sea. Finally, you reach the cabinet with your name. The drawer is rattling violently, about to tear free. Quick! The archivist shouts, his face now almost entirely yours, his form barely holding together. Open it. You grab the handle and pull. Inside is a vial unlike the others. The liquid inside is clear, and what floats within isn't a scrap of tissue but what looks like a tiny flame, guttering in an unfelt breeze. Take it, the archivist urges. Break it. You grab the vial just as the drawer tears free from the cabinet, disappearing into the chaos above. The glass is warm in your hand, pulsing in time with your heartbeat. What will happen to you? You ask the archivist. His form is coming apart now, pieces of him being torn away into the void. What remains of his original face smiles sadly. The archive has stood for eons. It has weathered worse than this. It will rebuild. It will recollect. With that, he shoves you hard, sending you stumbling backward against the disintegrating wall. Above you, the void pulses hungrily. The vial in your hand grows hotter, the flame inside dancing wildly. You understand without being told. This is your life, your consciousness, the moment that hasn't yet happened. Your death that's still to come. You close your eyes and crush the vial in your fist. Glass cuts into your palm. Liquid burns like fire. The tiny flame leaps from the broken vessel and sinks into your skin. And then you're falling, not up into the void, but down, down through layers of reality, through the thinning veil, through the doorway created by your medication. Down, down, down. You wake with a gasp, sitting bolt upright in your own bed. Sweat soaks your clothes, your heart hammering in your chest. The digital clock on your nightstand reads 3:07 a.m. The bottle of new sleep medication sits beside it. A dream, just a nightmare from the new pills. You'll call your doctor in the morning, get switched back to your old prescription. You flex your hand, remembering the feeling of the vial breaking in your grip. There's no cut on your palm. Of course not. It wasn't real. But as you reach for the glass of water on your nightstand, you notice something on your wrist. A small mark, like a stamp. In the dim light, you can just make out what it says. File returned. Endpoint pending. You blink and the mark is gone. Another hallucination from the medication, surely. You lie back down, knowing sleep won't come again tonight. From somewhere in your apartment, you hear what sounds like the shuffling of papers, a drawer opening and closing, and very faintly the sound of glass clinking against glass. Waiting on your nightstand is your morning pill. You never set it out the night before. Beside it is a note written in elegant script you recognize with a jolt of terror. Take your medication. The archive awaits your return.